All right. 3, 2, 1, let's go. It is Friday night, November 12th. And man, I am so excited because I have two of my favorite people in the world on the line. And that is my buddy, Sea Porc. Sea Porc, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. Good evening.
Good. And then I have Captain Pie from China. Captain Pie's in the house. How are you, Captain Pie?
Yeah, awesome. But I'm not from China. I'm from England.
Yeah, I know you're from England, but you live in China, and but you are coming in without video. But yeah. I am just trusting that you are a Tom Brady fan because I'm wearing number 12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What about you, Sea Porc? What are you wearing?
Oh, I'm wearing a New England Patriots Tom Brady number 12 shirt. Wow. You know, I'm from Maine. I'm a big New England fan. Yeah, exactly. We got our guy.
The GOAT. The GOAT.
For now on, when the two teams play, I'll just come from anywhere in the world and you too, and we will come together at that event and go.
100%. That is going to be my mission in life. You know what? We are going to make so much money from our Epic Cash holdings that it doesn't matter. This is called FU money. Whenever the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play the New England Patriots, you and I are going to show up. We're going to have 50-yard line seats. We're going to walk in holding hands like we're holding hands.
Yeah,
and we're going to be sporting our number 12s, right?
Exactly. Like a true bromance.
It is going to be such a bromance because that's what we're all about, man. We're about expanding our spheres of influence so that we can self-identify as whatever we want. And tonight we're self-identifying as a bunch of fun dudes that are here together. I hope tonight we have a special guest, Jerry Day, who was invited and should come on. And Porc, you can tell us a little bit about Jerry. We want to talk about the Red Pill Expo. Jerry was kind of a late arrival. Don't know if he's going to make it. If he does, it is going to be a giant size bonus because you're going to tell us why in the freedom movement. And we are going to do everything possible tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, there's one of the most lovely people on the planet in our chat right away. Have you guys ever heard of this woman by Alex? Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's
As a matter of fact,
astonishing. I mean, I've done commerce with her. Have you guys done commerce with her?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, hold on. We can't let's just take a moment here and introduce her and let me go here and
okay, Alex, so you just
wait, can you hear that?
Shiny now.
Can you hear it or no?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it too. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, my daughter Alex is in the house. Hi, Alex.
All right.
And
Hi,
Alex is one of the most talented stained glass artists in the world. And she decided that she was going to create 100 of these epic cash coins. Watch this, guys.
Can you show us how you did the 1 of 100 on the back?
Oh, yeah, I can.
There you go.
So now it's
Max Freeman. This is the Genesis coin, the original. Origin.
It's a series of 100 coins.
1 of 100. That is beautiful, Alex.
And you can go to t.me/buy Alex, BYALIX. And if you want to make history, ladies and gentlemen, you can get one of these coins.
Card.
Yeah, that's right. That's my girl. That's my girl.
You're going to have a certificate.
Let me just stop that. So, gentlemen, each of you have claimed one of your coins. Captain Pie, which coin did you get?
I got 2. I got 7 and 42.
Tell me about 7 and tell me about 42 and tell me why. I love hearing these stories.
It's a little bit woo-woo, but I'll go for it.
We love woo-woo. By the way, Captain Pie in the house. Captain Pie, if you look down below, once this renders, you're going to see my show description. And you're going to go to the first article. Captain Pie, I want to let you know that I graduated you to the very first thing that I talk about with any links. And that is the epicness of Epic Cash. And if you are watching and you haven't read Captain Pie's article that makes this complicated ecosystem, epicenter ecosystem, accessible to people like us so that we can understand them, you got to thank Captain Pie, because the dude has a gift to be able to take the cookies off the top shelf and bring them down to a shelf that we can access them. So thank you. So Captain Pie, I'm sorry I interrupted. Tell us about number 7.
Let me just start saying that, when I found out you were interviewing Sea Porc, I was like quite jealous. So I wanted to be a part of it. Yes. But luckily you let me in, so that's good.
Yeah, good. Lucky for me too.
So 7, so the septenary cipher. So it's like kind of gematria, what's the word? Numerology. Yeah. So if you take the letters SEVEN and add them up using that cipher, you get 22. And then if you divide 22 by 7, you get pi.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
42 also is 3 14s. So 3.14.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Is also pi.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, interesting.
42 is also 13 plus 14 plus 15. So if you take away the first one of the 13, you get 3, 14, 15. So 3.14.15 is also pi. And it's possible that the answer to the question of the meaning of life is 42 or pi.
Wow. Wow.
Woo.
That's like
that's proper woo-woo.
Official woo, man. That was official woo.
If I had a mic and I could drop it, I would do it. Now, I do have a Diet Dr. Pepper. Should I drop? No, let's not drop it. All right, Porc. I just can't call you Porc Freeman. I'm going to call you Sea Porc. Sea Porc. Can you please tell me your number and why?
My number is 6, and I don't really have a special reason. Like, I put myself in as fast as possible, and so I think I just got that spot. I didn't even really know. I guess they go at least to 100 because I hear some big numbers of them going to. So when all of that happened, I guess it was a whirlwind time, and I was preparing to go to the Red Pill Expo, and things were busy, and you called me, and it was at the farmer's market, with my wife, and we were talking, you gave me we talked about 7 or 8 different things, and we went through the details, and then I was going through stuff, sorting out pictures of the dog, and then, and then it was boom, okay, which one do you want? I'm just put me down for one. And so now I'm 6.
I have to run something by you guys. So this is number 1. My daughter Alex has given this because I'm going to be meeting Max Freeman on December 2nd in Miami. And so she made the first one. I'm going to open it up here. Okay. And you can see, all right, she has thank you. She hasn't put them all together yet, but I just want to show you what it is. So here it is. This is the Genesis coin right here. This is
very cool.
This is number 1 of 100. And if you look on the back, you can see the 1 of 100, right? So the ones you get is going to be 6 of 100, 7 of 100,
gotcha.
2 of 100. It's going to be very cool. But what I wanted to do with mine, tell me if I'm nuts, but you've seen my video to where I have my sunglasses and I'm like, I used to be Uncle Todd, but now they call me Uncle V. Why? Because I'm kind of a big deal. And I have a gold chain with a Bitcoin on it. So I told Alex, I said, I want you to put something on here so that every time I go on air, I have my gold chain with an epic coin on it. What do you think of that? So like,
Oh, dude.
it's like
Epic.
every show I do, just this obnoxiously huge epic coin. As it's like, I might even get EPIC gold freaking teeth.
Totally. Like epic thug life.
Yeah.
You could get epic tattooed on your knuckles as well.
This is not going to be fun tonight, people watching. I just want you to just like, we're going to be all about numbers, not talking about anything fun. Like, we're going to treat tonight like it's Monday freaking morning at 9 a.m. and there's no fun left in our souls. But no, that's not true. That's not true. We are here tonight because we love us some epic cash, all of us, and we love us some freedom. And Sea Porc just came back from a weekend to where he went to the Red Pill Expo. And so I wanted him on here because Sea Porc did an amazing thing. He went and evangelized Epic Cash to try to be able to talk about to people what happens, like if the financial world went to shit, what's your reserve, man? What's your BATNA? What's your best alternative to a negotiated agreement? And Sea Porc, would you mind just giving us a little bit of insight into the Red Pill Expo, what it is, and what your experience was like over the weekend?
Mm-hmm. Well, this particular Red Pill Expo, I think this was like maybe the 5th one that there's been or something like that, but there's been more than one, less than 10. I don't know exact number. And this one was in Lafayette, Louisiana. It was special in the sense that it was celebrating Edward G. Griffith's 90th birthday.
Who is Edward G. Griffin's? Griffin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's you could refer to him as kind of like a patriarch of the liberty movement. He wrote the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there, bing, bing. And
What?
so those of you who don't know, it is the history leading up to and the inception of the Federal Reserve. And it's he's a very well-respected gentleman in the freedom movement. And so he's the organizer of this thing. But it was also yes, go ahead.
Sea Porc. And I'm sorry, but I just have a really bad habit at this because this show is dedicated to newbies. So when somebody kind of goes too fast and I can tell I don't know who X is or what is, I just stop and interrupt him and am a jerk that way. Sorry.
No, that's great. No worries.
But I would just like to ask you, in your words, what is the freedom movement?
Oh, that there, I always might even say, like, for lack of a better term, but I'm just going to call it the freedom movement. And let's just say that this iteration of it, the American one that's happening right now, that's even reverberated, I'd say, globally in a very interesting way. I'd say Ron Paul really kind of really was like the giant stone thrown in the pond that got the ripples going across the pond, and there was a lot of stuff that led up to that, and and blah blah blah. But this iteration, I think Ron Paul was a big
who is Ron Paul and what was his message?
Well, Ron Paul, his message was a message of liberty, and he was a congressman in Texas. He retired a few years ago. His son is Rand Paul, who's currently a senator in Kentucky. He wrote the book End the Fed, which you read End the Fed, and then the Creature from Jekyll Island, and you'll probably have a cornerstone of the foundation of what you need for understanding like liberty in the American paradigm, and certainly at present, relating to the financial system. So Ron Paul and Edward G. Griffin are related in that way, and they're probably actually pretty friendly with each other as well.
So, Captain Pie, welcome to the show. What is you are not Chinese, but you teach kindergartners in China.
Yeah.
And you've been there for 3 years. And I think you have a unique perspective of freedom. And we have this point of view in the US because of mainstream media that China is just, I mean, to me, it's like everybody has a zipper on their mouth and is afraid to say a word. Is it as bad as we think, or is there freedom in China too?
It's definitely not as bad as it's painted in the mainstream media, but it's not a topic I want to talk about too much, to be honest, because China is a touchy subject for a lot of people. So
okay, you live there.
Ni hao.
Ni hao. Yeah, Sea Porc can speak a bit of Chinese.
Okay, I'll I have a high enough EQ to know when to not sell past.
No. It's a subject that I really enjoy talking about, but it does cause a bit of friction because of the perception. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's just say, actually, one of the reasons why I realized that there wasn't something quite right with the world was after I moved to China, and then a lot of people were sending me all this stuff like, why do you live in China, blah 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 blah, and I was like, what? Doesn't seem true. So that's when I started my kind of investigation into what's really going on in the world, and kind of led me to the freedom movement. I mean, so
let's do a little round robin here. Okay, I'll start off. Freedom to me means that, man, how can I say this without swearing? Leave me the F alone.
Exactly.
Let me be me, you be you, and I'm going to presume that you are a good, decent person, and I hope you do the same, because I feel I'm a good, decent person. Let's move forward. Let's just be productive in our lives. Let's go forth and prosper, and just don't F around with my business. Don't tell me what I have to do. Don't issue bullshit mandates. Don't lie and manufacture crises that don't exist so that you can fulfill ulterior purposes that probably, if you follow the money, become very profitable to you. So do not use the mainstream television to hypnotize the masses to your agenda. To me, my first step towards freedom happened last year when about April, May of last year, I ended up just disconnecting from mainstream media altogether. Just turn that shit off. And I got to tell you, my life has been pretty amazing ever since then. You could tell me that there was a nuclear bomb dropped in Peru, and it happened 4 days ago, and half of the world is gone, and I don't think I'd know it, because if it had to do with mainstream television. And you know what? I'm here with two of my favorite buds and lots of great people in the chat, and I'm just fine. I believe there are two worlds, people. I believe there's the world that I live in every day. When I get in my car, when I go to the store, when I talk to you, when I engage with people. And there's a second world, which is the one that the media is presenting, which is a lie. Now, because I have the highest resolve in trusting my own instincts, I auto hoax everything. So for me, it has just become second nature to live as a free man, because I do not consent or subscribe to what other people who declare themselves ultimate sources of authority by default or by election. You know, I'm like that guy that says, no, you move. So for me, being free is to follow my own path, and you just get out of my way. I will not mess with you on my path. I promise you I will not mess with you. But don't mess with me, because you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Do I have that right or wrong, Sea Porc?
Sounds good. Yeah, am I supposed to like give a little thing on freedom here?
Yes, please. I want to unpack freedom.
All right. Well, there's some real simple fundamentals here. Is freedom, in order for freedom to work, you know, for human beings, it needs to be grounded in individual responsibility, right? And you can talk about this with a human life, like a child. And when a child is born, it can't be responsible for itself, right? It wouldn't survive. It wouldn't make it. And so adults are responsible for it, like the parents are responsible. But there comes a point where that creature grows up where they can enter complete state of freedom and be responsible for themselves, right? And so when you think about that individual entering that space where they can be potentially free, well, then you have society to deal with, right? And so within an American context, we have a constitution where our rights come from our creator, and they're unalienable. And so when you look at it, the only job really of our government was supposed to be to protect our liberty, our freedom, and we should be able to do anything we want as long as we're not harming, you know, other people or bringing harm, let's just say in general, in an unjust, unacceptable way. And so we don't really have that kind of state of freedom. But when I think about freedom in a societal way, that would be it, is that really you have the right to do anything you want to do as long as you're not doing harm to other beings. And so, I usually say, people say, oh, what are you, blah, 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 blah. And I refer to myself as like maybe an anarchist or, an anarcho-capitalist. And I can make freedom make sense and say we have the non-aggression principle, but I can talk to Christian people and, they have the 10 commandments and they have their rules. And basically you boil it down, it's the same kind of game plan. And there's something very spiritual to me about freedom. Like I can almost think of that as the centerpiece of like what I believe in spiritually, and being born into this universe, being born into freedom is a magical spiritual concept in a way. So I'll just leave it at that, but that's kind of like my little entry blurb into freedom.
Okay. Thank you. Captain.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about freedom?
Both of the things that what both of you said really resonates with me. That's kind of my feelings. So what can I add? I like the term free as a bird. Free as a bird. Does a bird need a passport to fly over the imaginary line from America to Canada? No. Why? Because it's free. Does a bird need to pay tax to build a nest in a tree? Does it have to pay tax? No, because it's free. And the rule, the natural law thing that Sea Porc was talking about. People shouldn't be able to tell you what you can and can't do, and everyone should just live like, I'll do what I want as long as I don't cause problems or harm to other people. And I know a lot of people will argue that, but there's criminals, there's dangerous people. If we don't control them, then the world's going to be scary. But then I kind of believe that the reason why those kind of people exist is because of a limited access to resources, which I think is unnatural. I think the world gives us more than enough resource for everyone. Yeah. But we live in a system where the resources have been hoarded or hidden from us, and they give us crumbs, and they've got us fighting over crumbs, basically. And that's where the financial system comes in.
So we always do this, all of us. We all talk about they. And so I lost 6 channels on YouTube last year. because they didn't like me talking about who are they. But I'm going to go ahead and take a little risk here. And when you just said they, who would you say are they that are impacting our freedom?
I have no idea, actually. I think there's a lot of rabbit holes that they want us to go down. Like, so if you want to believe it's this group of people, you can find lots of information that supposedly proves it's this group of people. If you want to find another one, there's many rabbit holes you can go down. And to be honest, I think that all of them are distractions. All of them are to guide you down the wrong path, so we never know. I think that whoever they are is smart enough to be able to do that.
What do you think, Sea Porc?
Gosh, the they at the top of the pyramid, is I mean, there's a lot of theys that live at the top of the pyramid. We can just throw out the term secret societies and what are those like non-government organizations where they set up different things like I can't remember, but like George Soros has a Open Society Foundation. Bill Gates said I'm sure Obama's got one, Hillary's got one. It's a foundation party. There's a lot of complexity. You can look at like high levels of religious structures, financial structures. We can speculate. We don't really know, but I would just speculate in those kinds of places. You might find people dancing at the top of the pyramid. But I guess the question is there anything else above that that's involved in this kind of, this pyramid scheme, if you will, if there's a day. And so I don't really have an answer or an exact thing, but there is a day. There is a day.
There is. Can I offer one? Now,
yeah, go for
it. This is where it goes from. This is where I cross a line, right? But I cannot reconcile. I cannot and never could reconcile how there could be a big bang and random matter just all of a sudden just give it time. All of a sudden it starts going like this together, and then it becomes a fish, becomes a something, and then becomes a personality. When I look out and I talk to you, Sea Porc, and I talk to you, Captain Pie, I'm speaking to two different beings, two people who are in skin suits, right? But I believe that there is a spiritual nature to both of you. And so I fundamentally believe that what is going on that we're witnessing is a spiritual war. It is so bigger than all of us, and we can't reconcile it because we don't understand it, because we haven't been around for eons. But I believe that there have been entities that have been around for eons, and we're like little puzzle pieces right now. And I fundamentally believe that there are, I'm just going to call it demonic forces that can possess people to where maybe Bill Gates wasn't born a evil druid Babylonian bastard, but at some point in time entered unto him a spiritual force of some sort that took him down a path to where he is being manipulated by forces that play long ball, that have been here for eons. And that may seem crazy, but when I look at what's happening and I think about how long they've been at this to get to where we've been over the last couple of years, I cannot reconcile it any other way that 5 years ago, a group of people got together and decided that they were going to, pull the trigger on what we're going through today. No, this has taken a century, 2 centuries, long ball. Thus, I believe spiritual warfare is the ultimate they. And whatever you believe from a religious standpoint, I personally can reconcile the world when I think in terms of spiritual forces that have been at it for eons. And it really is a fight between good and evil. That's where I come down.
Whoa, we're going deep into the woo-woo now. This is very
Yeah,
interesting topic.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I'm the same. Like I think this physical presence is just in this realm is just temporary.
Right.
What is the reason for that? The Bible talks about it being a test or some sort of game, which I think is true. It's like a cleansing of your soul, something like that, possibly. Actually, to be honest, I don't know. This is not necessarily what I believe, but I'm just stuff that I find interesting. So I think, is it? Yeah, I think it could be good versus evil, but I also wonder if we're being tested and the whatever force it is has been designed to do that as part of our test.
I totally hear you. I totally hear you.
I'm not sure if that's true. It's just a different idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I have another theory, but I don't. I'll go into it later. The NPC theory, but
yeah,
Port,
the NPC theory definitely.
would love to get your thoughts.
Well, it's funny. The term spiritual battle is echoing all over the place wherever I go, and I've been, really active to try and not miss this thing we're going through. We'll just call it a thing, so we don't, get pinged the wrong, the algorithm and get in trouble or whatever. So this thing that we're going through, and I was at the Red Pill Expo, and the term spiritual warfare was very common.
Was it?
Oh, absolutely, and it
Interesting.
just is a very common, and I think it really it's a good term, because there is an element, there really is it's classic, good versus evil kind of stuff, and those energies in the universe, like the people, the bad guys, those dark occultists, they really know how to harness that dark evil energy, and they get their stuff going, and they do all the perversions of nature and making things just not right, and basically here, actually I should have touched on this relates to freedom. I think the best definition I've ever heard is of the term evil is anything that destroys freedom, and I really like that as a definition for evil. And so
Good.
And so this term spiritual warfare is really hitting home, and we really do have this kind of good versus evil, and you can see they're trying to destroy our freedom. And what are we talking about? What are people screaming for when they hit the streets? They're screaming for freedom because they're spiritually attacked. When you attack someone, and take away their right to their business, to love their family, to love their gods or not gods or whatever, and to live their life and have free association, that's as deep and evil an attack as it gets, and so it is spiritual in that way. And yeah, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. Whatever's happening now is definitely spiritual.
Definitely.
Right. And what's interesting though is the NPC theory, and I struggle with it, but I believe it. So I look at the world today, and I look at the world, and to me, it's just so crystal clear. It's just like I started calling it out last year in early April 2020, when I started my channel, started talking about what we're seeing on TV isn't what it is. I started calling BS on everything. I went from a standing start to 10,000 subs in 6 weeks. People were really, really, really hearing what I was saying. And I was just going down the path of who are they and what is their motive? What is their agenda? Well, I get banned. And so like a whack-a-mole, I was the Uncle Odd channel then because my nephew couldn't enunciate Todd. So I've been Uncle Odd in my family forever. And so I'm like, screw it, guys. I'm going to be the veritable whack-a-mole. Just subscribe to Uncle Odd 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make them all now. And the second, but every time that I would get banned, it would knock me back to zero. And it would take me. So by December, I was on my 6th one, and I only had 300 subs. And it just exhausted me. So what they do is they suppress the truth through censorship. And then in January, I bought my first crypto the second week of January. And then I'm like, you know what? I think they'll let me talk about crypto. So I dedicated my, this year to just following my journey in crypto, which is why we're all here together. And we've arrived at Epic Cash. And I think that we have followed the light. But I will tell you that what I have learned this last year is that I feel like I am in rare air, in that my worldview is so different than 95% of the other people in the world. And that really breaks my heart, because I feel I have it right. But the mainstream media is so powerful, and the illusion is so strong, and the hypnotism is so perfected that that those whom I love, just can't see through the mainstream narrative. And I see a ton of harm happening out there, and we're not going to go down this path, because you guys know what I'm talking about as far as damage that's happening right before us, and it breaks my heart, just breaks my freaking heart. And the number of people who are losing their jobs because they're taking a stand on not doing something, and it just really, really, really breaks my heart. So there is an absolute attack on freedom. So let's do our level best to just embrace the fact that there's an attack, and let's pivot this into financial freedom and how we might retain it, strategies, and maybe, Captain Pie, you have such a gift of being able to describe things. Can you kind of give an overview for if somebody was just coming into the room, didn't know crypto, didn't know the financial system necessarily? Can you describe the financial system we're in now so that we have context to where we could go with a new financial system? Sorry to put that on you, but I know we didn't talk about this before, but you're smart enough.
Actually, to be honest, I think Sea Porc might know more about this than me. Yeah. Sea Porc, you want to take this one?
Oh yeah, I'll do my best. I mean, basically we have what is commonly called, you might say, a central banking system. And so to make it easy, I'll just talk about it in an American context, where we have what's called the Federal Reserve, which is our central bank in the United States. And that central bank is not actually part of the government. It's not a nationalized system or anything like that. It's actually a privately owned central bank. There's shareholders, people who own it. And so this bank can create money out of thin air, and then loan that money to the government, and then the government spends it, and then the taxpayer pays that money back. And so that's the system we have, and right now in the United States we have the dollar, which is a fiat, because it isn't backed by something like a commodity like gold or silver or what have you. It's just backed by laws and some big ass guns and mean mofos, and oil, actually. I mean, if we want to get technical, and people refer to the US dollar as a petrodollar because of the Bretton Woods agreement, and I won't go down that whole merry trail, but that is a central banking system. And so why is that so bad? Well, if you can print money out of thin air, and you are the only one who can make that money, if you have you own a monopoly on the issuance of a currency for a country. For example, the dollar is to the United States. Wow, don't you think you could maybe have more power than any other thing in that country, arguably? Because wow, you just need $1 billion to bribe leader of a foreign country. So like basically you can control that foreign country. Hey, Mr. Prime Minister of X country, here, type in $1 billion into your computer. You don't have to print it anymore or anything. Boom. Oh, wow. I got a little vassal state, a little biatch over in XY country, right? And, you know, so I'm, you know, but these countries all have central banking systems, the vast majority modeled off. Originally, it was the London where the central banking system came from. And if people know of, there's a family that when you translated it's Red Shield translated in. And so I don't want to say the name. I'm not sure how to get like, you know, strikes or whatever. And so, you know, this mystery family from Europe that, you know, was involved with
rough
child. And, you know, so anyway, that's just a quick summary, a nutshell of the banking system. And there's a really rich history there that goes all the way back and starts.
But our current banking system is backed by gold, right?
In the United States, no, but it was. And Nixon took, I don't know the fine details. I don't think it was 100%. He took us off. I think he ended the gold standard. I don't know if it was what it was when it became a thing. And it already.
I just had an aha.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. I'm thinking about my daughter and I'm thinking about these epic coins that she is creating. She's creating 100 epic coins, but let's just say that she could create epic coins and those were the assets to the financial system. And the financial system decided, you know, it kind of sucks to have to carry around all those stained glass epic coins in your pocket. So we're going to create a epic coin dollar that you could fold up, that you could put around. But each one of these dollars can be exchanged for Alex's physical epic coin. That was the gold standard before Nixon effed it up, before he went off the gold standard, was every dollar bill represented a physical bit of gold, but let's just call it Alex's coin, right?
Redeemable
for one of those epic cash coins. So then when they went off the gold standard, then there was no need. They could kind of like pretend it was backed by one of these, but now they could go print 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 billion, 1 trillion of these epic cash coin bills. And so they're not backed by the real stuff. You can't exchange them for Alex's coins. And with that, then you inherently get incredible fraud, right? If somebody could just print those, loan those out that aren't really backed by those coins, they're just making shit up. It's just numbers in the system. And then they're charging you interest on those fake dollar bills that aren't backed by shit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very difficult subject to summarize in a minute or two. I'll just add a few things. So when they took away the gold standard, it wasn't just for the US, it was for the whole world. Like, I think the whole world's gold was stored in Fort Knox, and America was in charge of looking after the world's gold, right? So they basically just stole all of the gold from every country in the world.
Do you think that nefariously, that literally the bad guys in charge just totally liquidated Fort Knox, the gold, and it's just kind of like it's just a fantasy at this point that there's gold there?
Yeah, who knows? But I suspect. I mean, you and I have some pretty crazy beliefs that there might maybe that gold is not even in the place we call Earth. I shouldn't. I've said too much. But yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so they've taken, the gold that our countries owned or that we owned, if we had $1, we could exchange that for $1 worth of gold, right?
Yeah.
And that's gone. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, the corruption. So, like, for example, Amazon was running for many years at like 2 billion or $4 billion losses every year. Uber,
Right.
the same.
Yes.
But how do these companies do that? It's because they are friends or they are controlled by the money printers. So the money printers are giving their money to their friends with the really low interest rates. It's practically zero.
Yes.
And then these companies can run at a loss and destroy all competition. So you're destroying the businesses of the common man, because if I buy off Amazon, it's much cheaper than going to my local shop, right? Or
Right.
if I get an Uber taxi, it's much cheaper than in England. We had black cabs, so
Right.
it's kind of destroyed the business for many people using cheating, basically.
Yeah.
And the system is rigged in favor of big corporations, monopolies, and and the worst thing is that they give all the money to their friends. They take over the world, make us less wealthy, and then they charge us interest on it.
Yeah.
Through our tax dollars. Like, yeah, it's crazy. The system is crazy. I don't know if we explained it that well for total newbies, but
well, that's all right. Let's pivot to I'd like to pivot to talk about our favorite subject, which is Epic Cash. And Captain Pie, I have to give you a tremendous amount of credit, because we all know and love Max Freeman, who's the founder of Epic Cash. And it takes a while to be able to learn the language of Max and be able to understand Max. And I think out of everyone, Captain Pie, you have been the most effective at being able to translate what is very, very high level economic discussion and specific to crypto, blockchain, Epic Cash ecosystem, and distill it down to a level that it's accessible. So you wrote an article called The Epicness of Epic Cash. And for all of you listening, please go down. And now I am featuring it as my number one link under my little intro when I say what this show is about. And I really, really encourage you to read it. Read it all. And it's just astonishing. It helped me. I read it again today, as a matter of fact. I keep thinking I know what Epic Cash is and the ecosystem is, because rare few people have taken a deep dive like I have, because I talk to Max so much publicly on this, but I still get my eyes just kind of glass over sometimes. So Captain Pie, I would just ask you, if you had to start from scratch, somebody doesn't know anything, like we were going to have Jerry Day on and he didn't call in. So I don't know if he didn't get the invite. That's what I fear. I think maybe I got his email address wrong. But if you were going to explain to Jerry what Epic Cash is and why he should care, 3, 2, 1, go.
Actually, actually, that's something I'm planning on working on. I've been talking to you about it. So the previous article, when I was writing that, I was very much involved in kind of TCV group, TDV groups, the privacy crypto groups. And yeah, I mean, I personally, the thing that drew me to crypto was the philosophy of Bitcoin in its original design. And it's a thing of beauty. And Max understands that better than anyone else. So why
was original design? Why do you assess it was a thing of beauty? What was beautiful about it?
Well, it's presenting the world with a form of money that's beneficial for the people. Okay. And not for whoever they are.
The druid.
It's our money. It's not,
yeah.
It's our money, not their money. And yeah, it was designed to change the world, basically. And people that have studied that philosophy understand the importance of it. So yeah, for example, today I was watching your interview, Mike. What was his surname? Mike
Momola.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
actually, one of the benefits of of it being not so simple to understand at the moment is the people that come in, they really, really understand the philosophy and the importance of Epic Cash. So the people we're getting in are just incredibly valuable. Like I can tell, like I only heard him talk for 5 minutes, but I could tell that this guy is a special guy, right? And that's the
special guy.
That's the type of people that Epic is attracting at the moment, which is just incredible. Like,
Yeah.
so at the moment it's quite good because all the people that are coming in, there's it's a small community now, but the community that's growing is very special because it's not so simple to understand.
Yeah, that's a great, I mean, thank you for that. I didn't think of it that way, but it is really, really, it takes a little bit of discipline and stick-to-itiveness to attempt to tackle it, you know?
Yeah.
But when you do, and then all of a sudden some of the light bulbs come on, you start to realize there's something special. And then when you look around and you look in your foxhole and you're like, there's some really smart people in here. You know?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I've never, I try to come across as humble, but the truth is I probably aren't, and I'm probably not. And it's very rare for me to come into a community and go, whoa, who are these people? Where have they been all my life? And that's what I got with Epic Cash. And yeah, so I was talking, so for me, it was about the philosophy and the beauty of the philosophy. So when Max talks, he's talking to me. So when I first watched I was like mind blown, like, holy crap. And when I started to learn about the design of this project, it blew my mind. And I was just like, wow, this is incredible. So I need to go and tell everyone how incredible this is. But I mean,
good luck.
yeah. And but I kind of expected, like, if you're the type of person if you want to invest money, right, surely you want to make sure that your investment is going somewhere that you trust, right? So you want to do a bit of research. So I just was like sending a few things. Maybe your first interview was with a Max was like 2.5 hours, and then the yoga one was 3 hours. And I thought, watch that 5.5 hours, and that's enough. But it's very difficult to get people to do that,
right?
To give up 5 hours of their time to find something incredible. So I was trying to, in these groups, trying to talk about Epic. And I started to realize that actually it's very difficult to understand. So that's why I wrote the article. I basically, all the information that I got from Yoga Max, I tried to summarize and present it in a simple way as possible. But at the time I was writing it for crypto people.
Right.
So they had some level of crypto knowledge, and also they were privacy guys. So they knew about privacy, fungibility and stuff. So that's kind of the first articles aimed at that. But then after about a month's worth of feedback, like some of my friends that don't know anything about the financial system or the crypto, they don't understand it. So that's my next target, is to work on something that even they can understand.
Yeah, 100%. I tell you what, and we need it, and I'll tell you why, is because my best friend, he goes by Mr. P in Telegram, Pooch. He is the CEO of 2 of our portfolio companies. Really, really smart dude. And he's he's an engineer, and he attacks everything like you do, Captain Pie, as far as trying to understand it. And at bottom, you know, he gets it. He understands. He has invested quite heavily into this.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, he held an event with 30 physicians. So his best friend up in Richmond is a surgeon, and he hosted an event to where it was a KYC event, Know Your Coin. Yeah. And so Pooch was invited to talk about Epic Cash, and he did. And he started talking about Epic Cash. He got people's attention just because they respect him. And he had a few people come in afterwards and just want to do the easy button and just said, can I just, give you $100,000 to go buy it? Make it an easy, and right or wrong, it's like, we don't think that's the right approach. We want people to understand it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
before they and understand it, not only not the easy over the counter button, but really want them to get in to fight and buy and stuff, because that impacts the price going up too, and that's not a bad thing, right?
And also it's the passion that comes with, once you understand, it just triggers passion, right?
And you know what? Let me tell you, there's one single person who ended up, just by happenstance, me listening to a voicemail of this guy talking, all of a sudden started paying attention. And his name is Porc Freeman right now. and Sea Porc, why don't you tell your story on how you got in? Because you are the epitome of somebody who is like discerning, that is, cautiously suspicious, that you're no fool. But then once you started to understand, you went into chomp, MF and chomp mode, right?
Big time. And it's funny because it's like, like once you see the vision, once you kind of get it, and like, the first thing that I really saw that like kind of got me to shake my head was going through the paper that Ty had written for Medium. And he sent it and he said, hey, and we didn't really know each other very well at that point. He's like, hey, would you read through this and tell me what you think? And I was like, oh yeah, great. And it was kind of funny. I read it, and like at the end of the first page, there was just like a little bit, and it said something like resources or something. And I thought that was like the end of it, like, and that was like a bibliography or something. And so I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of short, or whatever. He's like, dude, it's 11 pages long. I'm like, oh. And so anyway, I ended up going through the paper, and as usual, I couldn't like wait because I'm impatient. And I'm like,
you're an educator, you're a principal.
Yes.
Right? And
yeah.
This is your world of taking deep dives.
Oh, totally. Oh, I've been an English teacher, I mean, language is a big thing, blah, blah, blah. And so like, we're going through, and I kept stopping and like asking questions. He's like, dude, just read the whole paper. And I'd read like 3 sentences. I'd be like, dude, what about this? He's like, dude, just read the whole paper. And then like, I finally I got to the end, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, thank you. I learned so much. And I understood from reading that article that what was significant about the small size of the blockchain of like 2 or whatever 3 gigs, what made it significant was the lightweightness, and so that it could eventually create scale, but also create a mineable thing on a smartphone,
a mobile phone,
right. And so I knew that, and I had already come into the community, and people were asking me about translations because they knew I had spoke Thai or whatever, and then I lived in Asia. And so I knew about the translations. And once I saw that you could mine that on a cell phone, this giant vision dropped. And I hadn't even really thought about it. I went, when I first learned about Epic Hash, I'm sure, and read like the blurb. But I went back like not long after that and read the blurb, like, that you'll see on, Coin Paprika or whatever exchange. And it even mentions the 1.7 billion unbanked people in the world. And so when I saw all of that kind of vision coming together, I mean, you want to talk about freedom, you want to talk about people who aren't free, people who are like not just slaves because they live in a shitty society that puts a boot on their face like pretty much everybody in the world, but they do it like barely surviving and with these tyrannical governments. And I mean, I've lived in places like Cambodia, for example, where like tyrannical government, it's just vicious beyond. There are no checks and balances. It is, the Khmer Rouge, the same people, back in the 70s. And we all know the story about what they did back then. And so some real harsh stuff. And so you want to talk about people who need help and who need freedom. When I saw what Epic Hash can do for those people in the world, and you want to talk about giving freedom a chance in this world, when you have 1.7 billion people on your team, you got a big team.
Oh, I never even thought of it that way. I knew that we with mobile mining, there could be 1.7 billion people that were mining Epic Cash, but I never thought of it as those are on our team.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
Do you know what? Today on a call with Max,
Yeah.
he threw out this. Now, this is not investment advice. I'm just giving you a little bit inside baseball. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm just going to because I already started. But he got on this call and there was a group of us and he goes, 10,000. And we're like, 10,000 what? 10,000, the price of Epic. Next year, when we're mobile mining, when we release mobile mining. And this dude has such high conviction and his supercomputer of a brain, and you guys know he's a genius. So when he says things like that, I start paying attention, and it just hit me. You connected a dot for me. Thank you. That when you say 10,000, that's like, 1.8 billion people being able to mine on their mobile phones. Captain Pie, why don't you talk, or maybe I think Sea Porc, what does $3, $5 a day of mining, what does that mean
this is very important
for people in the world who may not be in the United States? And while you answer that, forgive me, I have to grab something real quick, and then
Sure.
I'm running out of my voice.
Sure. Go for it. Well, actually, Pi and I can both talk about this. And Pi is actually living closer to extreme poverty, I'm sure, than I am right now. I'm in rural America, and it's pretty cushy here. But I've lived in places. I've lived in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. That's probably the most extreme poverty. Definitely the most extreme as far as where I've lived. I mean, I've traveled through places like, New Delhi, and seen, really extreme poverty, but I lived in Phnom Penh and worked there for 2 years. And, people there, I mean, forget like even $1 a day. There's people there who are just surviving, like people out in what they call the provinces, who are just surviving. They might not even have like an actual income. They might just be eating, like food from the jungle, maybe getting rice, doing some work or whatever. I mean, those are kind of economies work in a way that's hard to imagine unless you've been to them. So you can imagine, like what being able to mine and, you might say, oh, well, these people have no chance, blah, blah, blah. But actually, when you have, in your native language, if you're in a poor African country or a really poor Asian country or a really poor country, or even living in a ghetto in America, which I'd say is maybe even more harsh than living in a poor place in the jungle, maybe not in Phnom Penh, but like off on the countryside and in some really poor places. That can be life-changing right now at just a few dollars, like whatever Epic is right now, $2.50, $3. But imagine if it does go up to be $10 or $100 or $500. That is like life-changing money for these people. I mean, and so I'm going to let Pi, you can speak to this too. You've lived really close to extreme poverty. What do you see?
Well, actually, where I live in China is pretty middle class. I mean, they're not rich they're poor compared to people in England, in the Western. So they struggle a bit, but not compared to Southeast Asia. So yeah, like I was in Indonesia, and like a meter of land is like $100. They work. Sorry, a meter squared land is like, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, maybe it's $100, and that's their monthly wage. And they work 26 days in a row at like 12, 14-hour days to get that $100. Also, I was in the Philippines, and where I was working, that was where I got, when China actually had the virus and they locked down, I ended up staying in the Philippines for about 6 weeks, 2 months for China to sort itself out. And the people there, I was talking to some of the girls that worked in the hotels and the bars, and it's standard there where they would earn $3 to $5 a day for 12-hour days. not only that, they're supporting a family of 10. Like,
Wow.
but for some reason, the men don't really in the area I was staying in. The men don't work. Like, they just stay at home. They get one pretty girl from their family to go work in the bars, and that's the whole family's daily income. Is like $3 to $5. So yeah, just $1 a day to them is huge. And if you say they got 10 mobile phones and they can get $10, that's huge. And yeah,
Now,
like, so
Captain
say,
Pike, what does that do? Sorry for interrupting, but what does that do? Let's say that we expand to like just millions, maybe even billions of people mobile mining. What does that do for our network from a security standpoint?
well, yeah. So the scalability, because the blockchain is so small because of the Mimblewimble technology, and because it stores much less data than other. So the verification of the transaction is smaller with Mimblewimble than other transactions. Plus, we got something called cut through that removes data that's no longer needed. So, for example, I send $1 to you, you send $1 to Sea Porc, Sea Porc sends $1 to Max. We can erase you and Sea Porc because $1 has gone from me and it's ended up at Max. So you can erase your data, which is good for privacy fungibility.
Yeah,
it's constantly trimming the data. So
wow.
So the Mimblewimble blockchains are always going to be much, much smaller than the data tech. And this, yeah, so every mobile phone will be able to run a full node. Like
A full node. Now, what is a node? Because when people started talking nodes when I was a newbie, I had no freaking idea what a node is.
Okay, so say I've got the whole blockchain. I've got all the data needed for Epic Gas to exist. I have all of that data on my phone, and so does 1 billion other people. So
how in the hell could you have the entire blockchain on your phone? Because I mean, that's a lot of gigabytes, right?
Well, I haven't done the math myself, but other people have, and they say if we had the same transaction volume and transaction history as Bitcoin, would be 25 gigabytes. Obviously, we're a few years away from that, but by that time, mobile phone technology would have got to a point where 25 gigabytes is nothing. Like, it can easily fit on a smartphone.
And I apologize. I was kind of leading the witness.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we were talking about security, right? Say we got 1 billion people with all the data needed to protect the blockchain. So you get 100,000 mobile phones and you change that data to suit you. It doesn't matter because there's 1 billion other mobile phones with the correct data that will override it. Yeah.
So basically, the greater number of nodes that are out there, the less likelihood it would ever be for a hack, which would take, meaning you would have to control 51% of every mobile phone or mining.
Yeah, so there's that, and there's also so there's that. There's the 51% attack thing, but there's also like, say if you have an Exodus wallet where you store your Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the Bitcoin data on. You don't have a copy of that data, so you have to connect to another server, probably a big server that hundreds, thousands of people are connecting to.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to trust that server is giving you the correct data. So that's kind of centralization. You have to trust these big servers that are feeding out to everyone, because people don't want to download. People don't want to run 300 gigabyte blockchain on their computer.
And that's what Bitcoin is, right? 350 gig, I think.
Yeah, 350. I think now. Yeah, last time I looked, it was maybe more than that.
So Max, we had a conversation. I'll just be open kimono here. You guys know Max Wright, right?
Yeah.
He's legend. He's a stud.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Lifetime member of Success Council, right?
Yeah. So Max and I had a conversation with Max Wright yesterday, and we were going through everything. And, to the point of your weekend homework assignment, Captain Pie, is Max is intrigued, but kind of arrived at the place that I'm at a point that I just
don't quite get it. Yeah.
I don't get it. Right.
Okay. So I was going to talk.
Wait.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
But in our explanation, we had talked about Epic Cash being Bitcoin perfected. And the biggest takeaway that I had was his wonderful, and he called it just a penny's worth of advice, is lose the Bitcoin perfected, because you have a ton of people vested in Bitcoin. And if you come across like you are better than Bitcoin, and you're just going to lose people at hello. And so we took that as sage counsel and went back. And then Max, as Max does, was thinking about BTC is not Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But what Epic Cash has done is put the coin back in Bitcoin. I think that's pretty clever, because we are able to engage in commerce, because every time we transact, because of our light blockchain, the speed is amazing. So you can buy a cup of coffee within 30 seconds at a Starbucks with Epic Cash, and your transaction fee isn't going to be $62 on top of that $5 of coffee, which is what it would have been back in May when it was at its peak. And so can you speak a little bit to the use case of Epic Cash not just being a store of value, but a medium of exchange?
Okay. Let's rewind a little bit. So yeah, I agree with Max Wright, because even when I wrote my paper, I was comparing it to Bitcoin, and I noticed that I have two friends that love Bitcoin, and I sent them that, and it really annoyed them. And the thing is, it's true. What Max is saying is true. Epic Cash is the perfect form of Bitcoin in its original design. But the problem with marketing that is, it's been done hundreds of times before. Every coin claims to be Bitcoin, a better version of Bitcoin.
Yes.
So like people, I've heard this a million times before. They're going to switch off. I 100% agree that it's true, but maybe we need to take a different angle when it comes to marketing.
I do think so.
Yeah. And so, okay, let me get to the contents of what I'm thinking about how to target new people.
Okay.
People that don't know anything about finance or crypto. So why would they be interested?
Can I just insert this?
Yeah.
I would love to have something. I work for my boss was co-founder of Priceline.com, and the company I work for, we have launched 5 different billion-dollar companies that on exit was billion-dollar companies. We have 22 portfolio companies, and there are 2 people who are my bosses, the co-founders. And I reached out to my boss, Rich, and I said back in March, I was presumptive. I was like, hey, Richie, I mean, you've forgotten more than I'll ever know, but can you please, can you give me a little insight? Because I'm just starting to get into crypto. I just presumed he was in it. And he responded back, I know nothing about the space. Same with with Michael. Looks like Jerry has finally come in. Oh, nice. Hold on. Jerry is in here. Jerry Day in the house. Hold on. All right. He's connecting. So we will take that line of inquiry. I'll probably forget what I was talking about.
Yeah, we can come back to that later.
Jerry, are you in the house?
Well, I'm just testing. I'm way early, man. Sorry. Just trying to make sure I got a camera. I've got a piece of tape over my.
There you are.
Hey.
Maybe he thought it was 8 o'clock, not or 9 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
Well, it's different time zones.
I know I'm an hour or more early, and I'm gonna just get out of here. But
Oh, you're not early. You're late. We started an hour ago. So this is great timing. We're live right now. So welcome to the show.
at 6:45, I'm in California. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sorry. That's on me. I didn't specify Eastern time.
I'm
So-
sorry.
No problem.
Here we are.
Well, he said he's an hour early. Does he have time? Do you have time to
Okay.
come on now?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I don't
Yeah.
have a shirt on, but I'm fine.
Jerry, it's kind of hard to hear you. I don't know if there's a way of getting.
Yeah, I'm all I've got is my volume control that I know of. Test 1, 2, test. Usually, well, no, wait a minute. Sometimes there's some settings in Zoom. Let me see if I got something there.
Yeah, all
Usually there's some settings, audio settings, and that's what I was playing with when I wound up in your. But I don't see an audio adjust here. So you're having a hard time hearing me still?
really hard time hearing you, but I'm wondering if there's a phone number. Let me
Yeah, I could give you a phone number on a landline if you.
let me
Audio there.
well, you know what? You're sounding better. Maybe it's just the
Or-
closer you get.
Or if he has a smartphone, he can connect on his phone and use his phone audio.
Good
I
idea.
have an Android with 99% charge.
But Pork Freeman, maybe while
Actually, if he disconnects and then when he reconnects, he chooses the option, don't use computer audio, then I think it gives you a phone number, I believe.
Okay, I will try that.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited. Jerry's going to be on,
Yeah.
man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Pork.
Yeah.
Who's Jerry?
Well, we both have a commonality. We didn't meet, although I saw him at the Red Pill Expo, and I knew of him because Thistle knows him, and but it was kind of a hectic environment, so I didn't really go and try and say hey or anything. I saw him up on the I guess you call it the sound and video booth area and stuff. But it was a hectic environment. But we both come from an old school Ron Paul thing, and Jerry was I don't know if it was an official documentary maker for Ron Paul, but he followed that campaigns around and got really wonderful footage. And he actually presented at the Red Pill Expo this past weekend in Lafayette. Yep. And gave really just a really in-depth, what would you say, political, historical presentation in the U.S. and what we're dealing with. But I knew him through the Ron Paul campaigns and being a guy who does documentaries, related to that. Okay,
So I just want to say to my daughter, Alex, I want you to pay attention when this guest comes on, because I know you don't quite get it. Or I should say, not you, but just youth don't get it. But this guy is a wealth of experience who really, really cares about freedom and what that means. And I know that can seem kind of elusive because it seems like life is free, but there are a lot of things that are happening in this world that are becoming more and more oppressive, to where if you don't do this, you can't do that. And so this is somebody who has invested his whole life in standing up for your own personal right to be you, to do you. Imagine, Alex, I know your love for, and I'm sorry, I'm using you as I'm talking to you directly, but your love for raising butterflies. I mean, my daughter, she literally has a passion for raising monarch butterflies and letting them free, because the population is really suffering right now. And so she's figured a way to be able to do milk plants. One day I asked Alex,
Wow.
can I please have you on to talk about that? Because she has like a literal monarch farm at her home, and it's amazing. So, but just imagine if somebody came to you and said, you can't do that. We're going to shut that down. And I know your passion towards that, but that is the freedom we're talking about, is you can't do X when it's not harming anyone. And there's a lot of oppressive shit happening in this world right now. And oh, good. Let me admit him. And Jerry is like the tip of the spear in being able to, be a voice to help us experience the freedom we deserve. So, Jerry, I think I see you, or I see your phone number. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That is so
Perfect.
much.
I'm gonna log into the Zoom on the computer so you have a picture. I don't know if that'll work.
Yeah,
but,
that'll work fine.
Okay.
It'll be perfect, because everyone in the chat was saying, like, that man is so handsome, we have to see his face too. Usually they say that about Sea Porc, but man, you stole the show, Jerry.
Well, we're getting our Studs of the Freedom Movement calendar together for this holiday season. So
Well, this is, I'm traveling. I'm not in my studio, and I'm on my ragged webcam here, but I'm on the road in Santa Monica, California. But I'm glad if it's all working. If you can hear me and see me, then we're good to go.
Oh, we can hear you. We can't see you yet, but we're about to. But we're really, really grateful that you're on. Thank you, Jerry, for joining us. We have. Let me admit this so that we can see your handsome mug, and should be good now. Get 3, 2, 1. Let's see. You're invited in, but it shows that your video. You need to unmute your video.
No, he needs to move.
Okay, I just did I don't know how to do that without using computer audio.
Yeah, he's turned off the audio. So he just needs to allow the video.
So allow the video and turn off the audio of your video. Does that make sense?
He's turned off the audio of his video already, so he just needs to.
There we go. There we are. Got it. Is that better?
There we go. Yep.
Okay. Too much technology.
That's all right. That's all right. We are a patient crew here. There you go. All right, now talk. Let's see if we can hear you.
Talk and walk. I will walk the talk. Are you hearing me at all? Are you?
Oh yeah.
I love it when a plan comes together. Well, thank you. We have been talking about not just the Red Pill Expo. We've been talking about freedom. We've been talking about financial freedom, and there's really no one who has been more of the tip of the spear that we've discussed tonight than you. And so instead of us pontificating on what freedom means, we've been trying to define it. What does freedom mean to you, Jerry?
Well, we're so far from it that I don't know if any of us really know what really real freedom would be like.
Okay,
You know,
time out, because we're now getting a echo.
I don't know. I got my audio muted here on my end.
Now you sound fine. I don't know what happened. It just was, there was an echo.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know, but are you okay now?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, I think actually,
hear
I think
something.
he can turn off his phone now, actually, because maybe we're getting it through his computer audio.
Well, the computer audio was not so red hot.
Correct.
But
Okay.
but I don't know how. If I turn off my if I turn on my computer audio, I gotta hang up the phone because it'll echo. I don't have a way to mute the phone other than just to hang it up that I know of. I don't know.
Yeah, you sound fine, Jerry. I think what happens if we talk over you, something happens. But if you talk, then I think we're good. So if we, the floor is yours.
We will try to have controlled talking. No, I was just saying that I don't think anybody alive today knows what actual real freedom feels like. I'm not sure anybody in the last 1,100 years knows what real freedom feels like. You know, you go back feudal times or whatever. So we're so brainwashed, you know. I mean, all of us sat in a schoolroom where, you know, you ring a bell and you do something. You ring a bell and you do something else. We're so conditioned to, you know, control, external control. And, you know, of course, we're socially enculturated to compromise with our loved ones and this and that. So
I'm gonna call an audible here. I'm gonna call an audible here because there's so much.
He needs to mute his audio on Zoom. So on your Zoom app on your computer.
How do I do that? Mute. Here we are. Sorry.
Yeah,
now we should be clean. Now we should be clean. Is that good?
Yeah.
There we go. That's working.
Okay. All right. So nobody knows freedom in the last 1,100 years. Okay, let's start.
Right. So we're also deeply conditioned from childhood. You know, obviously, the human race has the disadvantage, as many species, where you're raised by adults, and the adults program you and try to get you to behave a certain way and try to get things, you know, get your head right. So you know, and they do it for good reason. You know, children will kill themselves if you don't supervise them. Any parent knows that. So you know, there has to be supervision. So we how can we say we even know exactly what freedom is? You know, how can we say that we, you know, it's kind of like an endless journey that you could go on to try to deprogram yourself from your childhood, deprogram yourself from your school, deprogram yourself from what government and media have told you all your life. So you know, it's a wonderful topic. We could go in a million different directions, but
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Jerry. So it is my great pleasure, and it's been a long time, but recently, over the last 2 weeks, I've gotten my daughter, Alex, involved with the Epic Cash community, and she has been embraced and she has prospered over the last couple of weeks because she creates these amazing stained glass works of art, and she created Epic Cash coins that are one-of-a-kind stained glass. So she has started getting into this community and has started to meet her words, the most incredible people that she's ever met. And so she is a person who has grown up being spoon-fed on mainstream media, and she's only 25, and she is, you know, has gone through the indoctrination camps of education, and I say that with love. So she is a person who is ripe for truth, but yet is so overwhelmed by the fire hose of mainstream media to where how do we communicate to these youth who I think are our future to be able to get them to a place to where they don't think we're just crazy old men and women, you know, that are just conspiratards. How do we break through that?
You can, first of all, you might start to tell her that even though she doesn't know it, how much she's doing for herself and her financial future by dealing with Epic Cash instead of Federal Reserve notes. You know, Federal Reserve note is owned by some very private and very greedy bankers. They went into a meeting in 1913 and created the Federal Reserve, actually came up with the idea of the Federal Reserve in order to turn every American into a tax slave by forcing them to use the Federal Reserve note, and the Epic Cash does not have that encumbrance. It does not have that. And if you can start to break down what she's actually doing and how she's possibly advantaging herself financially by considering alternative currencies, there's no way a 25-year-old would naturally just understand all of the history behind the Federal Reserve note, all the corruption, all the, you know, the fraud and whatnot. So that would be, I think, a great place to start as an eye-opener for her to say, look what you're doing. Do you realize you're stepping out of this control slavery matrix by doing what you're doing? And look at, you know, you'd have to point out some of the corruption and the fraud in the Federal Reserve note, so she would understand, oh, you mean, yeah, the Epic Cash doesn't have that problem or that problem or that problem. This is just stuff we control and own, and no one else is taking a slice out of every time we transact or turn around. You know, there's a very fundamental thing she'll understand right away, I would think. But you know then you can say,
what's been interesting, Jerry, is I've only been in crypto since the beginning of the year, and this channel is dedicated to my journey as a crypto newbie, and it led me down the path towards I ended up interviewing Max Freeman, who's the founder of Epic Cash, in what I called a shitcoin trial, because I got disgusted with the fact that there's so many coins out there that are pump and dump. So I decided I'm going to figure out myself the right questions to ask to discern whether or not it is an investable coin. And I put up a challenge and I said, if you want to come on my show, I'm going to put you through a shitcoin trial and I'm going to declare you guilty before innocent. And if you want to come on and talk about the positive attributes of your coin, your project, then let's go. So you know what? Max Freeman raised his hand. He came on the show. He was my very first shitcoin trial. It was intended to be 45 minutes. It was 2.5 hours. People can go down below and find the video. I'm in a white wig. I'm pointing to you. And if you watch that, you'll see me physically change from being this in-roll, I'm a shitcoin trial judge, to I have a lot to learn here. Let me just pull out my notepad and start working. And, you know, I will tell you that over the last 4 or 5 months, I have arrived at the conclusion that the vision that Max had is very real, and it is my access to freedom. And my daughter, Alex, does amazing stained glass artwork, and she was living in the world of Twitter artists, to where it's almost like they're just kind of buying from each other, you know, the green cash. Yeah. And nobody is prospering in there. They're just getting by. And so I said, honey, let me send you a picture, a JPEG of an Epic Cash coin, and let me show you what we can do, or I want you to tell me what you can do with that. I'm just going to show you real quick, so there's more context to this, if you don't mind. I just want to show you this. So she went from doing Twitter art to this. And then I'm going to tell you the happy ending to the story.
So you just pulled. Look at how beautiful
extra shiny now.
That is extra shiny. Can you show us how you did the 1 of 100 on the back?
Oh.
She's only doing 100 of these coins, making them all exclusive.
There you go.
That's Max Freeman's. We made the first one for him.
Genesis coin.
Nice.
The origin coin. This is 1 of 100.
It's really
I'm going to stop that, and I'm just going to tell you that it took her forever, not forever, but a while to change her paradigm of dealing in green Federal Reserve cash to Epic Cash. And I told her, I said, if you transact in Epic Cash, then when you get paid, so what her deal is, she's making 100 of these coins and she will take $500 in Epic Cash, whatever the equivalent is, you know, it goes up and down, right? Whatever the equivalent is, you can claim one of the 100 coins for $500 of Epic Cash. She usually makes $7.95 on her Monarch butterflies. And she told me I can live with the time I invest in each one on $500. Do you know there's been so much support in the Epic community? And what she has realized is now she is in an appreciating asset. So that if she needs a fiat off ramp, she can come to Papa and say, Dad, I need $500. I can say, okay, send me $500 worth of Epic Cash and I'll Zelle you. But she's arrived at the conclusion she really doesn't want to ask me for money anymore because she's realizing it's going up, 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 and it's private and it's hers and it's a different currency. And one day we're going to be trading in Epic Cash all across the world. I believe that, and everybody on this call believes that. And so it is her access to freedom. And it's wild because she and I both are going on a journey together that just through crypto, we're reverse engineering how effed up this actual monetary system we're in now is. You know, it's like if we keep something in the bank that is supposedly our green cash, the value of that, I mean, we are going to buy less with that in a year. You just look at going to the grocery store, and it has been such an aha. And she's so young, and she's now attracting like, you know, just a honeypot, all of these other Twitter artists that are like, now, what's this all about? How do we get into it? So I think this is the revolution here to where we can teach these young kids that there is a difference between what the TV tells us is the monetary system and what our future monetary system is. Okay, so you take over from there because you're
okay. Let me just say. So I guess the question is, can you explain why inflation is theft?
Why inflation is what?
Is theft. Why inflation is like stealing from us? Why is it stealing from us?
Well, sure. But I mean, that would be something I'd talk to Alex about. I'm sure that you all understand, you know, your Federal Reserve note currency is being devalued, it's being printed up. Didn't they say they printed up more Federal Reserve note currency in the last 2 years than they printed up in the entire history of the dollar from when it was created? So we're now in hyperinflation. I've just been seeing, or we're entering into hyperinflation. I've been seeing reports in the news the last couple days that we're getting these almost double-digit monthly inflationary jumps. So you know, we're now well over even the most cooked and falsified numbers are now well over 6% inflation, and we're getting 6% jumps a month now. So we're in the heading toward the vertical curve on our currency.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Let's break that down to a level that all understand it. When we talk about 6%, we're getting into that. What does that mean in the real world? Tell me about going to the grocery store or the gas station, or, you know, my $100 a day.
They found a 50% increase in gas prices in like a month or two. A 50% increase. That's, you know, if you want to talk in inflationary terms, that's 600% a year.
Wow.
So gas prices. Now, you know, it'll go up and down, things will go up and down, everything's on a rocky road. But the general trend is we're in serious trouble. And this is very intentional, and this is very well planned and orchestrated, because this is the only way that they will get all of us screaming and demanding a new currency, a new reset, a central bank digital currency, whatever solution they've put in the pipeline to enslave us even more. We'll be begging for it once we see our, bread, a loaf of bread, go to $50. And our wages and income nowhere near keep up with the price increases. So we're going to have terrible problems. The food supply is being systematically destroyed, and oil is being systematically destroyed. Transportation is being the container ships at the docks are being systematically obstructed and destroyed. That whole system is about to collapse, and it's going into certain financial problems that can't be fixed. And therefore, there's a question of whether at a certain point anybody can ship anything in a container at all. So now we have this global dependency where we're all highly dependent on the global supply chains, and the global supply chains are being seriously disrupted and obstructed. So, they know that in order to reset us into a new form of high surveillance, digital, centrally controlled currency, they have to collapse the entire current system. There's no way they can smoothly transfer into another monetary system. Everybody's too habituated to using FRNs and using cash and this and that. So they're going to have to destroy the system, the financial system, and I guess they've decided to destroy a lot of the basic infrastructural systems, the food supply, the transportation, the energy, just bring it all down, bring a total collapse, so that people will be begging government, give us a solution, help us save our lives. People will be starving. People will be completely destroyed financially. Can
you please explain to the uninitiated the Hegelian dialect, or I believe that's it?
Problem, solution. I mean, the idea is to create a crisis.
Yes.
And create a crisis in such a way that you have plausible deniability. You're not directly attributed with the crisis, even though you caused it, but you can present yourself as the solution for the crisis because you have somehow distanced yourself from the creation of it. So, whenever we have an economic problem, it's because of what the bankers do, what the Federal Reserve does, what the money controllers do, but they say, oh, this was an unforeseen thing. And now, because we have this unforeseen crisis in the money supply, which they totally created and controlled, how could it be unforeseen? We had this unforeseen thing, so we'll come up with this new solution, whatever it is, whether it's cutting down on, or issuing bonds or quantitative easing or stimulus money, helicopter money, whatever whatever they want to do. They get their some kind of land grab foreclosure crisis going, and they get to buy up all the homes for pennies on the dollar. That's what's going on right now.
Yes.
So there's always an upside for them while there's a downside for us. But when there's a downside for us and they create these disasters and crises, they pose themselves as the logical entity to provide the solution for the problem we've created. And, as long as we're dumb enough to believe that the people who are creating the problems are the ones we should turn to solve the problems, that's never going to work. That's never going to work out.
I gotta be a proud papa here, because my daughter in the chat, she just wrote something that just kind of exemplifies this. She says, as an artist, our supply costs went up, shipping costs up. But since everyone else is having to pay more for everything as well, art becomes non-essential, which means that we have to lower our prices, making our business impossible. That nails it, doesn't it?
It does, but I think she's a little too pessimistic there. I mean, as prices go up, wages and costs of everything have to go up. When people know that a loaf of bread is $10, they'll know that her art costs a little more. And I would give the advice to Alex is don't go into that poverty mentality.
Okay.
You know, maintain your self value.
She didn't. She got into Epic Cash, where there's people who understand an appreciating asset. So, but it's because she's my daughter, right? I want to help 1,000 starving artists out there. We all do, right?
Yeah. But the message to them is, do not diminish your value in that way. Don't say that because other things are more expensive, mine is worth less. Everything is more expensive. That's your stuff too. And you demand a higher price for yours. And, you know, hopefully the art community can get together and say, we do have value and we do deserve to be paid for what we do.
But I think when the rubber meets the road, when prices are going up so much and people are threatened by $50 loaves of bread, then they start. It takes me back to 2008 when I had a premium business that I was kicking ass on, that was just making tens of millions of dollars. And then 2008 hit and everybody stopped buying premium and it just went totally south. So, you know, it wasn't. It was, I could be as reactive as I wanted to, but nobody could afford it. And so that I think is the kind of conundrum here. But the bottom line, I think the overarching lesson here is that the system, or whoever the Druid Babylonian bastards are who are controlling the system, there is a they, that this is a controlled demolition, is it not?
Oh, yeah. And there were a lot of days. And what I would say regarding your problem in 2008 is that as your market was being destroyed and disappearing right from under you, there were actually other markets being created and being discovered and being made possible. And even in the worst of times, you know, I had a grandfather who was an art director in movies. And during the Depression, he made millions of dollars, and he won 9 Oscars because he was making films that allowed people to escape from the, you know, misery and drudgery of the Depression. And people would flock to these movies. And the movie companies, that was their golden era. That was their heyday. It was 1940s, you know, 30s and 40s. And if you go back and you look at the movies back then, the phenomenal fantasies they created, the art direction, the visuals, the characters, the scripts. The scripts were deep. You know, they weren't just action thrillers. They were these wonderful intellectual explorations of society, and but very escapist. You know, they were very affluent, you know, images and all this. And so there's a market that just came out of nowhere. Nobody could have predicted that in the Depression that filmmakers would have, you know, the kind of the era that created the entire film industry and turned it into such a huge thing as it was up until today. And the pandemic shut down all the exhibition theaters. You know, that was the golden era of exhibition filmmaking. But that was, I just say that as one example. You know, it's hard, and it's hard for me. I'm no expert at it, but I know that if there's a slight shift in the economic landscape, there's a whole bunch of more markets opening here while a whole bunch are closing here. It's very fluid. Yeah. And so it's not like everybody's broke now. It's the people. It's like IHOP was originally the International House of Pancakes. That was a restaurant created in the Great Depression because nobody could afford eggs or sausage or bacon, and they would go out and just have a stack of pancakes in the morning because that's all they could afford. And that was an entire restaurant created to do just that. All you got were pancakes. And you know, they would probably have eggs and bacon, but it would be expensive. You know, you go in, it's a Depression, you can only spend a nickel for breakfast. You can get a stack of pancakes and go to work. So these markets are there, but it takes tremendous flexibility and creativity and awareness and ability to adapt and adjust and throw away your old, walk away from your old investment, try to make a new investment. It's tremendously challenging to people like you who already had something established, that fell away. The same thing happened with my business.
Yeah, Jerry, could you do us a favor, because we have a lot of people who don't know who Jerry Day is, and I would love to get a little backstory on. If you could just give us tell us a little bit about you, please.
Okay, well, I've always been a media producer, so I make videos. When I was 19 years old, I bought a Super 8 movie camera, and I was making little short, funny movies I called Jeepers Peepers. They were silent. I didn't even have audio. They were YouTube videos 40 years before there was YouTube or even computers. And I was having fun making my little comedy videos. And then I went into set building for about 20 years, and I was building sets. I was an independent contractor building sets for mostly for still photographers who would do magazine ads and billboards, build their sets, paint their super graphics, murals, build 5-foot high telephones, make props, whatever they needed for these oddball things. And then I went, I had gone to film school in the meantime, and I was ready to go and produce videos. And I started producing videos for companies, medical companies, doing corporate industrial video. And I wound up doing a few television pilots, and one of them went to a 4 half-hour series, and I won an Emmy for that series. And so it was all self-started and, kind of that kind of thing. And I've been very much a one-man band. I've done my own graphics, I've done my own audio, I've done my Emmy was for producer host. I did hosting on that. I do the directing, I did the camera operation. I would, just hire crew as needed, but anything I could do myself, I was doing camera, audio, lighting, graphics, 3D animation myself. That's what I've been doing most of my life. And then when the industry kind of went south and everything turned, it was not around 2008, things really went south. And at the same time, they were creating a lot of digital video production equipment so that anybody could make a half decent video. And so it took a lot of us pros out of the market, and I was getting older. And so I just went off and I got some property out in the high desert of Southern California, 20 acres out there. I put in solar. It's mostly off grid except for internet. And I have been producing YouTube videos, and I got up to 8 million views on my YouTube channel and 44,000 subscribers. But then of course I got into the censorship, and they started to give me strikes and this and that. So now that's sort of crippled. And now I'm in yet another redesign your life stage, of how to, stay present and relevant in media, in spite of these challenges.
And Howard, so you and I share a little bit of common past in that last year I started talking about what was going on in this world, just kind of calling bullshit on everything, and went from, and I'm sorry, everyone who were here earlier, but went from nothing to a standing start to like 10,000 subs in 6 weeks, just speaking the truth and just calling bullshit on what I think we're seeing is a psyop. And I got banned, and so I popped up like a whack-a-mole 6 different times. And by December, though, my subs were on my 6th channel 300, and it just becomes exhausting to where you just are like put so much into it, and you're like, it becomes such a depreciating asset of influence. You're like, why am I even doing this? And so then in January, I started talking about crypto. And so because they let me talk about crypto, but for those watching out there, it's folks like Jerry and me and many, many, many others who speak truth, and you don't hear about it. You don't hear the counter mainstream media narrative because it is squashed, and that should tell you something. And so Jerry, I admire you for however you're doing it now, fighting back, reinventing yourself, republishing yourself elsewhere. What are you doing to be able to even be on the stage now? Are you going to alternative platforms? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I've put stuff up on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, but not a lot, because I'm just testing. You know, I want to see where something will get anywhere near decent views, or I'll be able to establish some traction in some way. And you know, I'm pretty disappointed in what I see in terms of, number one, technically how, you know, YouTube is military funded. It's got it's got infinite funding through Google and whatnot. So they're able to have absolutely top class server capacity, absolutely top class algorithmic capacity, search capacity. You know, that nobody can touch YouTube for their infrastructure. And so it's sort of like really slumming when you go to any other video platform in a lot of ways. And that's all I've discovered so far. And I have a sponsor who's telling me, oh, just do some funny little news wrap up thing, but you got to do it every day and then build up your subscribers, and don't mention anything off of you know, alternative media, you know, only talk about what's on mainstream media. So I'm being advised to go really, you know, almost mainstream and, you know, worthless. You know, all of us know that, you know, after a while you don't even want to do that. You know, it's just like your integrity is out the window, you know. So I may be able to do something like that and still sneak in, you know, a little bit of, you know, secret sauce, but it's going to depend on whether or not YouTube catches on to me. But I think that.
You have a website?
Okay.
You have a website?
Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah, freedomtaker.com.
Okay, because I'll include this in my show notes once I publish them. Freedom.
Sure.
Taker.
Yep.
Okay. .com.
Yeah. And I have another one, but there's a link to it on freedomtaker.com. It's emfhelpcenter.com. It's actually, you know, I did a lot of videos about smart meters and some things about 5G. And so I wound up getting contacted by a lot of electromagnetic sensitive people, more than I ever believed existed. You know, many people are electromagnetic sensitive and don't know why they're sick. They don't understand that they are being injured by electromagnetic energies, electric fields or radio frequencies or microwaves.
If somebody didn't, if someone didn't know about 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, electromagnetic anything, can you just walk slowly with us and explain what those are and how somebody could possibly be injured who's just living their normal, ordinary life?
Yeah, there's a man by the name of Dr. Sam Milham who wrote a book called Dirty Electricity. And he discovered, because he was an electrical engineer and he was an academic in the sciences, electromagnetic sciences, and he became a consultant on electromagnetics, and he would have somebody from a school contact him and say, you know, we've got 200 kids who are getting sick, and we've got 600 kids in the school, but only 200 of them are getting sick, and we don't know why. And he would go and he would find out that those 200 kids were in the classrooms directly adjacent to a large transformer facility in the school. And those kids were having all kinds of behavioral problems, all kinds of medical problems. And he would clean that up one way or another, get the kids away from it or somehow filter it. And suddenly, bang, the kids would recover dramatically. And he was going through this school after school, institution after institution. And he wrote a book where he explained, where he discovered that in 1920, roughly, when they put electric infrastructure into cities, it was not in the country, the rural areas, for a long time, but in the cities, in about the 1920s, they wired the cities, and within 20 years from that, there was, or even 5 years from that, there was a cancer epidemic. And we've had that cancer epidemic ever since. There's never been anywhere near the number of cancers in the human species per capita that there was after 1920 or so, when electricity was brought in. And then about 20 years later, they put electricity in the country and the rural areas, and he saw you can track it on the hospital records. Bang, as soon as they install electricity, you have this cancer epidemic and all these various electromagnetic injuries. And we all have them. They're around us all the time, but we think it's he got Parkinson's disease or he got this, or you don't know, you don't attribute it. But the electrical, dirty electricity is something that I deal with on this emfhelpcenter.com site. But I always stress the electric fields and that they do these kinds of things because everybody thinks it's the radio frequencies, it's the cell phones, the 5G, the smart meters, the radio transmitters that they stick all over the city. Yes, that is an equal problem, but it's equal. It's your electric wiring in your house. If you don't have proper grounding, if you don't have some line filtering, if you don't have a good electrical system in your house, almost every house needs a line conditioner, this box that you install at your service panel to clean up your dirty electricity. So that's one half of it. And then almost every house needs some kind of shielding or mitigation where you remove the Wi-Fi, you don't use the microwave, you don't have the transmitters, you don't have all the gadgets, well, the wireless, you don't have the smart appliances. You figure out ways to not have transmitters in your living space. And there are people who have severe immediate reaction to a lot of that stuff, and all of us will eventually get cancers and whatnot.
But you're taking away our easy buttons, Jerry. We want our fancy pants and lollipops, and we want our convenience, but it sounds to me like it can be dangerous. So on your website, if people click through to the EMF help desk or whatever it is, they'll be able to kind of get educated because you got my attention. You got my attention.
Yeah.
And if there is a way that in my own home, I can better ground whatever to maintain I'm really, really interested, and I promise you I will follow up on it. Sea Porc, I want to be respectful to you because I know that you got an early morning flight, and if you'd like to ask Jerry any questions or just say adios, I just want to be sensitive to you, and we'll continue this discussion. But I wanted to give you the floor if you had any questions.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, it would be really nice to come on again. Because it'd be really nice to talk about Ron Paul, because I love Ron Paul, and that's where I know Jerry Day from, is his days doing film work in the Ron Paul campaigns and stuff. And it's funny, like I think about Ron Paul and then Edward G. Griffin. Jerry and I were both just at Ed Griffin's 90th birthday party down in Lafayette, Louisiana. And these guys, are the guys who rang the bell on the Federal Reserve and really did a huge wake up call in the United States, which is a big thing. And it relates, if we're going to talk about, building a new financial system, to really understand the rot and the evil of the current financial system. And Jerry talked a little bit about the Federal Reserve at the beginning and that financial system. But it would be an interesting episode to kind of go at it and look at the Federal Reserve System and, how can Epic Cash or cryptocurrency or some kind of combination thereof, looking even at things like precious metals or what have you, to help. I mean, the ashes are going to happen. This financial system is going to come down. The dollar is on its last leg here. And these psychopaths want to drive us into some kind of a digital banker currency where we can get the 1984 boot stamping on our face for eternity kind of slavery paradigm dystopia thing. So I think it would be a really rich episode to get Jerry back and kind of maybe just start with the fundamental, with the current financial system, and then look at something hopeful, solutions, and where we could go in the future. With that said, I just want to politely say, love all of you, and I will duck out because I need to get some sleep. I got to get up and out of here early in the morning.
Oh, you do. I know you do. And thank you for
thank you.
all you do for Epic Cash, and tell Max hello tomorrow when you meet him.
I will. Awesome. All right. Thanks.
All right. Max, hello from me.
I
Don't
will.
hang up yet.
No,
I have one comment to give to
Sure.
you, and that is, I want to congratulate you on the use of your ring light. You've taken it off center and you've made very attractive face light. People put them right around their camera and they look like a marshmallow. And I did a lighting tutorial called Light Like a Pro, and it's a lighting tutorial video from my production experience. And you're doing it that I can see your ring light in your glasses. You got that off center, and that gives you nice modeling on your face. And I get very frustrated when people put them right on the lens and it looks so blown out and so flat.
Well, it's a good observation. I actually have a background. I mean, I went to art school and I used to do photography back in the day when we used chemicals and we're in dark rooms and stuff. And I've done some filming and stuff. And so I actually understanding a little bit of light. And so I try and get myself set up right. So I'm glad that someone noticed and it worked all right. So thanks for noticing, Jerry.
Your lighting is beautiful. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sea Porc, go get some
All
sleep.
right. All right. Take care, you guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
awesome.
Bye-bye.
Super. Thank you.
Captain Pie, I want to give the floor to you. I'm sure you have a question or two.
Oh, well, I thought Sea Porc's question was very interesting. So yeah, at the beginning, Jerry was talking about the importance of moving away from the current financial system. Can we go back into that topic?
Yes, please.
Sure. Is there a question on that, or in particular?
So yeah, you were just talking about how using another system, we were using the example Epic Cash, how that could be advantageous to people.
Right.
So would you like to elaborate more on that?
Well, I've been lucky enough to get a lot of personal attention from Max Freeman, as you did. You know, he is excellent at describing and talking about it, but I'm still not up 100% to where I know how to deal with cryptocurrency at all. So
Jerry,
you know, I'm
Jerry,
yes.
Can I just interject? And I'm sorry I don't mean to be rude, but I just want to let you know that rare few of us speak Max, the language of Max, and the guy is a certified genius. But the guy you have on the phone right now, Captain Pie, he wrote an article called "The Epicness of Epic Cash" that we'll make sure that you get. But he is like it's like if Max is speaking Chinese and you only speak English, Captain Pie is the translator, and he is
great.
So we have the right guy on the call to be able to talk about this. And I think it's really important because if you get Epic Cash with your sphere of influence, Epic Cash is all about freedom. And so I hope and pray that you get it, because adoption is going to come through people who desire freedom. Captain Pie, I hope I didn't build you up too much. I know I did, but 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, the thing is, Epic Cash.
I want to see what Captain Pie has published or has online, so I can get that translation. That I need. You know, I would like to see that. That's what I need.
Sure you get
Yeah.
it.
So Epic Cash is a huge topic. It's really difficult to summarize in a short amount of time. But the one thing I say is Max, all of us actually, we really share the same view on the world as you. And like when you were talking about the Federal Reserve at the beginning, that was really resonating with us, because we tried to explain it a little bit earlier ourselves and we weren't doing such a great job. And the way you were explaining the corruptness of the Federal Reserve was amazing. So I think we share the same beliefs, we're on the same page, and we're trying to do something about it. So that's what the Epic community is doing. So yeah, from Max's point of view, which I share, which is why I love listening to Max talk, is that Bitcoin, in the original design, the Satoshi Nakamoto, that he wanted to change the financial system and create one that is fair for everyone, basically, and takes away the power of the people that we believe shouldn't have the power, basically. And somewhere along the line, it got corrupted by the people who have the money. And you can tell that really annoyed Max, and he is driven by going back to Bitcoin in its original design and creating the perfect form of Bitcoin with all the best technology that's available today. And that's what he's doing, basically. But yeah, if you don't really understand the original Bitcoin philosophy, it's a little bit difficult to tackle it from that point of view. So yeah, the epicness of Epic Cash goes through most of the main points of what makes Epic so special, but it's still probably a little bit technical. So actually I'm working on targeting everyone in the world, not actually, because not everyone believes the same things we do, Uncle V and Jerry. But we want to get them involved, because the more people that use a new financial system, the better it is for everyone, including us that want a new, that understand the corruptness of the other one. But we want to get people that don't understand that yet, but want to get rich, right? Because I think that's a way to attract new people to use this system. So the more people that use this system, the better it is for everyone. So I'm going to focus on that next. Why is Epic Cash designed to make us rich? So yeah, it's such a huge topic. What do you understand so far, Jerry? Is there any particular things that you don't understand that you want clarifying, or?
I would have to look at, you know, some of the notes I made when I talked to Max and whatnot. You know, for me, I tend to, you know, I guess I'm the type of person who wants to simplify things, who wants to keep things comprehensible and accessible to as many people as possible. That's what I think about when I'm doing a video. You know, that's what I do. And so I put up a website called freemarketcurrency.com, and that is a very simple, basic idea that you can take, for instance, a gold coin, and you can write up a promissory note, and that becomes circulatable gold-backed currency. You can, your promissory note, a piece of paper that says, I, Jerry Day, have a gold coin, and I will remit that on demand for this note, and you could laminate that note and just circulate it, and that is a gold coin's worth of money. You could make them for any value based on anything, backed by anything. And that is local private currency. And we can all create it. We can all circulate it. The only limitation is that it has to be circulated among people who trust each other. And that's the big problem. That's what the digital coin solves, you know, and that real world problem of how do we trust each other. Because somebody could forge these things or, you know, mess with these things in some way or another. They're physical currency, just as you could forge a Federal Reserve note. So, so there are weaknesses to every currency system, but this one is totally private, totally backed, and it's simple. It's not. It's completely offline. It's not technology driven. It's not digitally driven. It's not computer driven. It's not internet driven. It's a piece of paper based on something a store of value you have. And so I just thought that's one thing that will be useful in the future. And it certainly doesn't in any way displace digital currency or any other type of alternative currency. It's just another form of alternative currency. And but
that's a very interesting idea. What do you think of barter economies then as well? Local barter. Barter economies, local, barter.
I'm sorry. It's just so clumsy and difficult. You know, you want to trade a cow for some eggs. You know, it's very difficult. It's very clumsy, and it takes a lot of community, energy to do that. I've, with my property out in where I live, I've been dreaming about having something like a free market, a farmer's market type of a thing on my property every Sunday or something like that, where people just can come and barter and trade and, and talk about all these things and have some community and have some social connection. And I think that's something that we are extremely low on is community markets, what they call now the farmers markets. But if you look at the vibrancy of a marketplace in some of the Mideastern countries or some of the Asian countries, it's just phenomenal how many people are there, how much activity is there, what a core activity it is to their entire culture and society. Our society is almost totally missing that, and we need to get back to these markets and community gatherings in some way, any way we can do it. We have to do it. Otherwise, we're just going to be slaves to these central authorities. But your question.
Yeah, that's a I agree with that totally. And that just reminded me of something that when I was in Cambodia, I was talking to the guy giving me a lift. Was it a taxi or a tuk-tuk something? And he said that 20 years ago in his village, they didn't care about money. Like, so say if I grew oranges, I would take what I wanted, and then whatever I didn't want, I would just leave out for anyone else to take it. And everyone did the same thing. But then money came along and everyone wants money. Everyone needs money to live. And it's changed everything now. Like, people don't share what they have. They will only sell it for money. And to be honest, the perfect society, I think, has something like that, but it can't really happen over the night because of the way we've been trained. So we need like a transition, right? We need something to help us transition. So yeah, I think crypto is a very good part of that transition. And for me, Epic Cash is by far the best design to be able to achieve that. So yeah, what do we talk about? Well, yeah, because you have so privacy. You understand the importance of privacy and fungibility. Do you understand that, Jerry?
Yeah, yes, and that was one of the downsides of my free market currency, the promissory note currency, is it's how do you you need to transact in divisible, fungible denominations, and so when everybody's creating their own currency in their own denominations, it's a little bit awkward. And obviously, the digital coins are much more highly suited for that, perfectly suited for that. In fact, with maximum flexibility in terms of denominational distribution. But the problem for me is the fungibility. In the fungibility is just the digital character of it, where it requires that you have a technological instrument to do it. It requires that you understand not only that technological instrument, but the technology behind the currency itself. And there are so many little tricks that made some people rich and other people's not in digital currency that it requires another level of understanding and, in order to keep from getting hurt and to take advantage of the growth and the benefits that digital currency can offer. Only the strong survive, in this. And it comes down to, I have a brother who's very technical and he's a computer programmer, and he's, it's frustrating for me to, when he, wants to talk about how the way to get by in life is to completely adapt and learn any new technology that comes along, no matter how technical, no matter how complex, no matter how difficult. There are many, many people who simply do not have that proclivity. I have more of an artist's brain than a technician's brain. And, there's nothing I can do to suddenly make myself into a mathematician or into a techno genius. It's not going to happen. And so, I'm the perfect test case for any new technology. If I can understand it, it'll work. If I can't, then there's going to be a whole segment of the population who's going to be excluded.
And that is our greatest challenge. Not greatest challenge, but that is our priority right now, is being able to I joke, dumb it down to a level that all understand it. And it really is true. I am just a little bit of historical background, Jerry. Priceline.com was incubated in the company that I was with 25 years ago. And I still remember the 2 servers in one small room. And that was back when Web 1.0 was in its infancy, right? And so I have a unique perspective of being able to see where we were back then, having similar discussions like this about crypto, but we were having it about, the World Wide Web and the internet and email and e-commerce. And back then, I would say when we incubated that, we were at the 5-yard line. I've said that before. Other people, sorry about this, but this is repetitive sometimes. But I feel right now that where we were with Priceline.com at the 5-yard line, and we had 95 yards to go to get the touchdown. Today with the online world, we're like at the 5-yard line at the other end. We're almost ready to punch it in. Everybody knows how to use the internet. Everybody knows email. It's an easy button for everybody. I mean, I don't care what age you are, whether you're 2 years old. I mean, you got these kids that are, you see that are using their digital gadgets right now. Those are the babysitters of the world, actually. And I just think that crypto is in its infancy and we're at the 5-yard line again. So to me, it's very, very encouraging, because I know where we're going. And that's what I feel so fortunate about being part of Epic Cash, is that Max's supercomputer of a brain has mapped out the future. He can see what we can't. But I have personally arrived at the conclusion that I trust his vision and am kind of all in. And I just feel like I am, I come with my notepad sitting at his feet, taking notes, master, tell me more type stuff. And I'm being a little bit facetious, but not. And so I really feel that those of us now, I don't care whether you're young, old, speak English or don't, if you're 6'8" or 4'2", doesn't matter. Epic Cash is for you. It doesn't matter. It's like green cash, doesn't matter who spends it, right? Nor does Epic Cash. It is not favoring the rich. It is not favoring the poor. It is not favoring one class over the other. It is so equitable. And the easy buttons are coming, just like with Priceline.com. It was pushing a boulder up a hill to be able to get that first exchange, of being able to match inventory of a hotel that was unused with a consumer who got a great value, right? We're at that point right now where we're on the right side of history here. And I just think that the more we can evangelize this alternative currency that is better than Bitcoin, because it is designed after Bitcoin. If Satoshi designed Bitcoin in 2019, it would be Epic Cash, because he would have had the benefit of a decade of advanced technology. And so I'm sitting here just like recognizing that we are just right at the cusp of a revolution. I mean, a literal revolution. And there are so many smart people in this community that I have come to just know and respect, and I'm starting to see it, but it is not an easy lift. And I thank God for Captain Pie, your ability, Captain, to be able to distill it down to where we can all, at least begin to understand it. We're going to get better and better and better at distilling it further. But I believe with all my heart that there's going to be a point in time to where the get it factor happens, that Jerry, if you have $100,000 worth of Epic Cash and you have $100,000 of Bitcoin, and if you need a $25,000 car with Bitcoin, you would have to sell $25,000 worth of your Bitcoin and thus create a taxable event. So you better round up. So you're going to lose half of that Bitcoin for that $25,000 car. But with Max's design, with Epic Cash, no, you have that $100,000 of Epic Cash. You can stake 50,000 of it. You can borrow up it's like a home equity loan. You can basically say, I'm going to the pawn shop of me. So I'm going to my own pawn shop. I'm putting up $50,000 of my Epic Cash. And then I am going to off ramp $25,000 of USDC, which you can convert into fiat and pay for your car. So now you have your car. Now you have your Epic Cash at the pawn shop. But what's happening? You do not have to pay interest. You do not have to pay it back. And that asset keeps appreciating. So when it goes 10x, that $25,000 will be 10% of what you originally staked it at. So if you want to get it back, you can. Or if you just want to let the asset appreciate further, it becomes epic dust. It becomes like in the rearview mirror, nothing. And when people start getting that is what this is about, that you don't have to sell and create a tax event in your life, just like a home equity loan. When that flashpoint comes on, when Captain Pie writes his article this weekend that is going to explain all of this in one page, I'm telling you, adoption is going to go wild.
Okay. I've got a couple of things there. So Jerry mentioned that there's so many projects in crypto that's designed to make the people that created it rich, right? So how do you tell the difference between those ones and the ones that are designed to benefit everyone? And to be honest, yeah, I was struggling with that as well for most of my time in crypto. And it felt like almost every project is designed that way. So the people that created it, they've created it to make themselves rich. And other people that use it, that if they time the markets well, they can also get rich. But eventually, usually, most of the time, there's also going to be a lot of people that lose out because the currency isn't really useful. No one's going to use it. It's just a speculative asset, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you trust Epic Cash? Like, how do you trust that the creators are not going to do the same? And yeah, it's trying to understand that you don't want to sell your Epic Cash. Like, obviously, the creators of the project, the people that are going to get in early, if it's successful, they're going to do really, really well. But it's designed in a way for everyone to do well. No matter how late you get in, you're still, obviously, the earlier you get in, the better you're going to do. But it's designed to continuously help whoever chooses to use it. And that's what we got to try to understand. So
let me ask a question, man.
Yeah, sure.
I've tried, I think, 2 or 3 times to buy Epic Cash.
Yep.
And I'm such a Luddite that I couldn't make sense of the Vite wallet.
Vite exchange. Yeah, let me comment on that. I will tell you that initially, especially if you're non-crypto savvy, it is an event. What I have done is I ended up figuring it out. Okay, you go through that kid tested, mother approved period, and over the last 2 weeks, no less than 24 people I have helped through it. So I am here for you. If you want to go through the process, I can help you every step of the way. Once you get used to it, you realize it is just an amazing wallet. It is so easy. But there are, and I talk about it all the time, there are, it is not easy initially, but I will tell you that by the end of the year, we are going to have a newly designed wallet that is going to be the easy button. And Max is fond of saying that when there's an easy button for everything, then we're not going to be talking about Epic Cash at $3. We're going to be talking about it at $50, at $100, right? And it just makes sense. So I encourage everyone in all of my videos down below, I have there's a video and there's an article on how to buy Epic Cash. And if you follow the instructions, you can do it. Now, what happens is once you download the wallet and you go through the process, there becomes pain points there to where you're kind of like, oh shit, what do I do? And when you're new, it's like you're your own bank, right? If you hit something wrong, you could screw it up. And that's where it takes a friend to walk you through it over the phone. And I'm serious. I don't care what time of day or night. And you and I now have exchanged numbers. I would be happy to walk you through it just to download the wallet. And then I would love to send you 100 Epic Cash after you do, to be able to show you how fast these transactions are. It's lightning fast. It is amazing. And once you see it, and once you go through the process just once, the light bulb comes on. I've done it with so many people, and then people come back to me and then they become the teachers, right? And they're just paying Epic forward. I did it with my daughter, Alex, and now she and I are like, I love it. It's because like now our deal is she's transacting in Epic Cash. So she's getting everything in Epic Cash, but she still has to pay the bills. It used to be she'd come to Dad and say, Dad, I'm running short. Can I have $300? And Zelle or Venmo her $300. That's what dads do. Now I get the pleasure of saying, sure, send me $300 of Epic Cash and I will send you $300 of green cash. Easy peasy. It's not she wants to ask me for money because she's seeing the value of her portfolio go up, because for the first time in her life, she's getting a financial education in what an appreciating asset is. Whereas when she had that stinky green cash in her account, it never goes up. It just goes down. So that's the revolution. But I would love to help you with an Epic Cash or the Byte wallet.
There's a couple of things. Yeah. Oh yeah. Go. Sorry, Jerry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just accepting his offer, and we will talk. And thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to that and learning, awesome. Getting to that stage where
I'm open all weekend. I will take you through it anytime over the weekend. I have a wide open weekend. You just let me know.
Yeah, I'll send you an email. I don't know if I have your phone number, but I have your email, and we'll exchange that. You've got my number.
Got it. You got it.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So Captain.
Yeah. So that I was just going to add that actually someone wrote some really nice written instructions that I think is probably the simplest way to do it. But the best way, obviously, is for someone to show you and help you. So, yeah, definitely accept the offer from Uncle V. And then the other thing is, yeah, the most important thing that we need to improve is the usability. But the project's still a baby, so it's only 2 years old. But that's the focus, is to make it more accessible for everyone. Okay, so shall I try and explain the whole of Epic Cash? And it'll be a good little experiment to see if you can understand it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all,
and as you start, I'm not being rude, but I just need to use the restroom.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. We can continue anyway. Yeah. So I think the first thing is that the Mimblewimble technology is revolutionary because it allows privacy, fungibility with speed and scalability. So there's quite a few projects that focus on privacy, but with the older technology that you use to get private transactions, it's a lot more difficult to make it usable in the real world. Whereas Mimblewimble allows the same level of privacy and fungibility, but also keeps everything very lean and small and lightweight. So it makes it a lot easier to scale and speed. So say, for example, you went to the bakery to buy a loaf of bread. You don't want to be waiting 10 minutes or 15 minutes for your transaction to go through. You need it through in seconds. And I think that's a massive advantage that Mimblewimble has over the other technologies. And then you've got like the mass adoption issue, like the more people that use it. So say if just you and I, there's a village of 10 people, but only you and I use Epic Cash, then I can only use it when I'm transacting with you. But if all 10 people in the village use it, then we can use it all the time, right? So usability and getting as many users and mass adoption is very, very important for the success of the project. So I think a lot of new people will come into the project thinking, oh, how can I invest in crypto to make me rich? Oh, Uncle V's back, right?
Hola, thank you for your patience.
So I want to talk about how would Epic Cash, how is the design, how is it going to make you wealthy or more rich? So you were mentioning earlier before Jerry was here that Max thinks $10,000 next year.
Let me be careful with that. He was like, he clarified it when he said $10,000, and we were like, what? $10,000 when Epic is mobile mined, when it's operationalized. So he hates it when I talk price. And so that I probably shouldn't have shared that, but that shows how bullish he is on the fact that once you have billions of people being able to mine this, what it's going to do to this asset.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's wrong, by the way.
I agree. Like, I'm not a huge fan of talking about price, but to get new people involved, I think that's where we have to go, really. To be honest, I'm a little bit more conservative, but I think $1,000 is a decent target for next year. And that sounds completely crazy. Like, it's $2.50 now. How can in 1 year it'd be worth $10,000? But the formula I've come up with is scarcity times usability times holdability times Metcalfe's law equals everyone is very rich. So scarcity we'll come back to a little bit, but so we can talk about usability. Actually, I mentioned that when you were in the loo about how Mimblewimble makes usability really good because of privacy, fungibility, scalability, and speed. Mm-hmm. Basically, you're going to be able to hold the whole database on your mobile phone. And this is huge in terms of usability. I probably shouldn't go in too much technical detail here. Then we got holdability. So I mentioned this earlier as well, that the vast majority of the people in the community, they want a better form of banking. They don't want USD. So it's not like they want to create something that's going to make them lots of USD and then cash out and take the USD. They want a better form of banking. And so they don't want USD, they don't want BTC. I mean, I've been in the community like 3 months, so I'm like as certain as you can be without reading people's minds. Yeah. That's what the people around me also believe, because that's what I believe. So if you want Epic Cash to be your form of banking, you don't want to sell. You don't want to sell. And then there's something that you mentioned earlier with the ECR EUSD. Jerry, have you tried to get your head around the tax-free, interest-free loans, like how you can be your own money printer? Sorry, how you can be your own. Okay, no, so
I have no idea. I only have like $10 worth of any Bitcoin, and it's some odd name that's. I have actually two of them. One that went from $10 to $1, and one that went from $10 to $9. And
I guess first, we can say, did you understand why Epic Cash is going to be more usable than other forms of currency, digital currency?
You know, I've gone through some conversations with Max, but they were a while back, and I haven't had any practical way to, you know, repeat that to myself. I just heard him say it, you know, 2 months ago or something, and that's the end of it. I haven't been able to exercise my knowledge by interacting with it or using it online or getting used to the interface.
But
I'm way behind.
But the explanation I just gave, did that make sense at all? I suppose I spoke quite fast. So I was talking about the privacy, fungibility, scalability, and speed. That's what gives it its usability. The holdability comes from the fact that people want to use this instead of USD. They don't want to use it to make USD. They want to use it instead of USD. Yeah. And then you've got the ability to be your own printer, your own Federal Reserve, the Jerry Reserve. Is that what they call it, Uncle V? The Jerry Reserve?
The Bank of You.
Yeah, the Bank of You. So basically, you know, like rich people, they have wealth in assets, right? And then they take out loans again, rather than sell their assets to be able to spend their wealth, they take out loans against it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure you know about the really low interest rates, how that only really benefits the rich, right? Yep. So with I
believe the idea of the loan is that it's in some ways a non-taxable transaction, right? I mean, that's why you're operating in a sort of a debt model, because you're avoiding a tax event.
Yes. Yes,
definitely.
Sir.
Yep. So you're avoiding a tax event, and you're essentially creating new currency, which is backed by your own wealth. So you're not liquidating your wealth. You're creating new currency that you can spend based on your wealth. So you've got your Epic Cash, which is the collateral, and you've got a token called ECR, which is that, I guess that's the Federal Reserve part, where you use that token to create EUSD, which is essentially equal to one USD's worth of value. So
that's your fiat off ramp. That's what you can pay somebody who's not into crypto. You could get them. That allows you to be able to pay them $25,000 in cash.
So EUSD is what you're going to use to spend. This is currency that you've created yourself, and that's what you can spend in the real world on whatever you want. But to do that, you don't need to liquidate your wealth because you're creating a loan for yourself from yourself, and you're borrowing from yourself. So you don't need to pay back the loan because you owe it to yourself. And you don't need to pay interest because you owe it to yourself. Mm-hmm. Does that kind of make sense, Jerry?
It makes sense in a surface kind of way, but you know, someone who's trying to picture out all the underworkings of that. You know, I think, to be perfectly honest, the loan system that you're describing was conceived and created because of the unfair burden of taxation. And so it has to be a little more complicated because the system of taxation is complicated, and the system of taxation is causing the requirement for us to work these dodge arounds. And so it's something we're doing because someone else is trying to rob us. And you know, for that reason, it has to be a little more complicated. You know, obviously, it's far more comfortable for me to say I have a digital currency, I can transact with people, and I don't have anybody trying to rob me, and just stay within that currency if it were possible. But to play games, to try to deal with the complications of, you know, overnight, somebody in Congress could decide to eliminate that, you know, our ability to operate in that debt-based model and to avoid taxation. They could overnight, they could just with a snap of a finger come up with some legislation that would make that impossible. And so, it's a little hard to invest, too much intellectual power in these things that are in some ways highly fragile, possibly. We don't know.
Okay, so there's a few things you mentioned that. The first one you mentioned was to avoid tax, but that's just one of two things why the loan creation exists. It is also to allow you it gives you purchasing power without you losing your wealth. So say you had a house worth $500,000, but you believe in 5 years it's going to be worth $1 million, but you want to spend $200,000 on something. So you have one option. You can sell your house and then you can spend $200,000, or you can go to the bank and borrow $200,000 with your house as the collateral. But if you do that, you borrow the money from the bank, you have to repay your money every month, and it's got high interest. So it's that system. It will be difficult to explain the tech now, but basically it's set up so your Epic Cash is your house, and the EUSD, which is what you can spend in the real world, is your loan. But you lock up some of your Epic Cash, so that the Epic Cash cannot be used while this loan is out in existence. But because you borrowed it from yourself, you are your own bank. You're in charge of that loan, repayments, interest, everything. Does that kind of make sense?
I think it does, and I think it's frustrating for people like you to try to explain this to people, because we're looking for some deeper or more resolute way of thinking about it. But I think it's basically as simple as you say. You're borrowing from yourself, and you are tying up that amount of money for a certain amount of time. Maybe in my mind, it's unclear of like, how do I pay it back, or what's the mechanism of paying it back, or when I pay it back, what does it look like, or is it possible to pay it back?
So, Jared, if I could interject here, and if I could just get in the Wayback Machine, there was a point in time that Bitcoin was $2.50. Okay.
Yes.
So the way that I have to do everything in pictures in my mind, or I just don't get it. The way I look at it is every Epic Cash that I buy, I think of a piece of land that has nothing on it. And every Epic Cash that I buy is a brick that I'm building a house. And I build this house. It can be as big or magnificent or small or whatever. But let's say I build a house that it's mine, right? I have invested my green cash, or I have mined it, or I have earned it somehow. But I have all of these bricks of Epic Cash that create a house. Now, in my mind, I can understand a home equity loan. If I want to borrow against this house that's $100,000 worth of house, and we know that based upon the market and everything that I put into it, everybody would agree that's $100,000 worth of house, and I need $25,000. I can take a home equity loan against that to be able to get $25,000, and that's 50% of my house that I have collateralized. I've put it up. That's part of my system in the bank of you. That is not that I have lost it. It's still mine. It's just that I can't use it elsewhere. I'm just locking it up because that is part of this smart contract that gives me the ability to have $25,000 of cash to go pay for a car. Okay. Now, I live in a neighborhood where every year this freaking neighborhood is appreciating like crazy. So that $100,000 house in a year, you think 10x is crazy in real estate? Yeah, it probably is, but not in the world of crypto. When you have a crypto design like Epic Cash, which is designed after the original Bitcoin protocol, and it's what Satoshi would build today if he had the tech. So now that $100,000 house is worth in a year $1 million. Not crazy. Really, really, really is not crazy. So now you take that $1 million versus that 50,000 you have locked up. Guess what? If you really need to use that $50,000 for some transaction, how easy is it? Because you're now worth $1 million to be able to pay back that 50 or that $25,000, right? Or to unlock, you pay back the $25,000 to unlock the 50,000. Right? And then that's yours. So you have your car, the appreciating asset has increased. It's $1 million. It's like dust. It's small, right? That is ultimately the design. The difference between how this is so genius is that you, in the whole process of that year, are not burdened with the payment to pay that back and the interest on that, because it's the bank of you. And that's where, in my mind, I start to understand that I am in my little $100,000 house is in a neighborhood that is appreciating like crazy. So when it gets to be $1 million or 10 million or 100 million, that $25,000, even if you never paid it back, it's nothing. Because you never lost your asset. It is yours. It's not like a pawn shop to where if you didn't make the payments or you didn't pay it off, they take it back.
Can you explain real quickly, when I borrowed 25,000, how am I locking up 50,000?
Through ECR. And that's where I'll defer to you, Captain Pie. Unless I don't. Okay, so this is why people who
sorry, I was on mute.
no problem. Let me defer to you on that. Okay.
So there's a third token called ECR, which is like the smart. Called a smart contract. So in that smart contract, it's a piece of code that cannot be unlocked until certain variables are met. So it will lock your Epic Cash on the chain. So there's no way anyone can do anything with that Epic Cash until the $25,000 loan is paid back. So yeah, if you want access to that funds again, you need to pay it back. But say you borrowed say you locked up 50% of your coins and you need to pay back $25,000 to unlock 50% of your coins. Yeah, again, when it's appreciated 10 times, you can just take out another loan on a much smaller part of your remaining coins to pay back the initial loan to unlock a lot more of your coins. Bingo. And then you can take out another loan to lock up much smaller amount of your coins.
Bingo.
But there seems to be in the initiation of the loan, there seems to be borrowing $25 but locking up 50,000. I'm just not sure.
Oh right, yeah, because of the volatility of the crypto market, yeah, the value of Epic could go up or down. So to be very safe at the beginning, they're gonna set those settings at 50%. You can take out 50. The creators of the project.
Yeah,
it's not the government.
So
the governance of Epic Cash.
Yeah,
which is all of us.
Yeah, it's the community. So basically, if you think about your home, when you put it up as collateral for a home equity loan, right? You're just putting up your Epic Cash. And so because of the volatility of cryptocurrency and the design of Epic Cash, Max feels that being able to borrow up to 50% of your Epic Cash holdings is the safe number. Now, there'll be a point in time to where, like real estate, I almost knock on wood. I mean, my wife and I, we've been working hard at it, but we're about 30K away from paying off our home and intend to do that by the end of the year. And so I think if I wanted to, I could probably get a 80% loan, home equity loan next year if I wanted to. I don't. But with Epic Cash, if you think of it the same, I could borrow 50% against my house. And so that's done through an ECR contract. And you need ECR along with Epic Cash to make this bank of you work, which tees up the best news of the night is on December 25th of this year at noon. There's going to be a 1-to-1 snapshot to where however much Epic Cash you own, you will get the equivalent in ECR. And this is such a huge deal. I cannot even tell you. It's like between now and December 25th, those who acquire Epic Cash are going to set themselves up for an amazing financial future because they will have both pieces of the puzzle for free. You get the Epic or the ECR to be able to make this bank of you work. So we have a lot of educating to do between now and the end of the year. And that's going to be the purpose of my channel for sure. Because I'm trying to help people who this channel is dedicated to newbies. I'm trying to help people understand this. And thank you, Captain Pie, because my big request is we got to distill this down so that normal people can understand it. Because it's so freaking complicated, but it's not once you kind of finally get it.
But yeah, I'm struggling to do that with words, so maybe I'll wait till my. Because with my writing, I can reread it, rewrite it until I'm comfortable with it. Whereas when I'm thinking in real time, it's much harder to explain it with words.
Well, let's do this. Maybe what we can do is, I know, Captain, you are working on this fundamental lower level article to where people like Jerry and I might be able to access it and understand it. Jerry, would you be open to just being someone that we could run that article by before it's ultimately published, just to see if okay, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry could also read. Oh, God.
Yeah, to learn and to maybe do videos and help people, get on board too. And once I understand something, the video just almost produces itself. So
you've got a gift with speaking, because when you were explaining the Federal Reserve, I was like, wow, I wish I could speak and explain stuff like that. But sorry, I interrupted you, Jerry. Carry on.
No, I wanted to hear you were. I interrupted you. Go right ahead. You were going to say something.
No, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say you've got a gift with words. So once you understand it, you can explain it in words very well. Whereas I think I need to write it down and then give it to people. So yeah, that would be amazing. And also you can read my first article, because I think your knowledge is higher than you think it is. So you'd probably be able to understand most of it. So yeah, if you read that.
Is that something you can send me, or is it posted online? Where do I see it?
Yeah, it's on medium.com. So one of us can send you the link, either Uncle V or I can send you the link. So you can read through that, and then that should help your understanding, definitely. And then I'll try and I'm going to try and make one even more simple, if possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Awesome.
After we get off this call, I'll make it my mission, Jerry. I will send you that link, and I'll send you Several actually, but read the epicness of Epic Cash, and I think you'll get it. But we are just delighted that you graced us with your presence tonight, and
Yeah.
your reputation precedes you. We are all in this community. We are freedom supporters. It is really part of our DNA, and I know I talked to Max before we got on tonight, and he thinks so highly of you and wanted me to say hello. And
Likewise.
yeah, and so look, this is something I think that you have a sphere of influence, to where the cliche 1+1 = 11. I think we can really work together and help people, and this is a community driven project. So it's like nobody's getting paid evangelizing here. It's just, we're trying to, we think we're onto something good. We think that I personally believe that it's going to change my future. I'm a fairly well off human being, that I don't have to have this work. But I tell you what, I kind of think a little differently, that when it does work, my fantasy starts going towards how can I, if I am graced, how can I put it to better work, to be able to expand freedom, to be able to help others. And I'm fond of the phrase, where are the white hats? Because I just feel in this world, there are no white hats that are out there fighting what we know we are all fighting. And so, if I am ever able, I want to be the genesis of some white hat ops, because I'm just done with this. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, when I discovered this project, it blew my mind to the point where I just threw myself in and just wanted to be a part of it. Like, I've never written anything before. That's the first time I've ever written anything.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, first time.
Wow, that is crazy. Well,
But
you are very, very talented.
Well, it
Cap.
was just passion, I guess. When you do something with passion, you're going to do something well. And yeah, so I was amazed at the feedback I got from it. And that was worth it. Like, working for free, when you get that feedback. But we're working for free, but we've also invested. So we know that the time and energy we put in is going to benefit us as well.
That's how this works. That's how this works. People need to understand this, is that a blockchain is nothing but a collection of energy. That's it. It's energy that is put into it. It can be monetary. It can be bought. So you can buy Epic Cash. It can be mined. There are people that work their butts off and figure it out, how to mine it on their computers, how to spend their energy. That's putting energy into the blockchain. It can be earned. You have kids like Alex, my daughter, who's making products that ultimately translate to being energy on the blockchain. And then you have the folks out there who are in a position to where they can give it to people. They can gift it to people. There are just lots of ways. When you're in the community, we have epicfundme.com. There are just many ways. But if people start understanding that what makes a project work in cryptocurrency is the energy within the blockchain and how you add to it. And if there are multiple avenues, and if there are a lot of smart people that start catching on, that start saying, wow, okay, Jerry Day gets it now. And Jerry Day starts talking about it. And Jerry Day starts seeing the 100 Epic Cash that I'm going to provide to him when he successfully downloads his Vite wallet and we go through the process. When he starts seeing that 100 go from $300 value to $1,000, like my daughter has been pretty astonished since she's gotten involved, then all of a sudden people become interested, and it becomes a network effect. And it's not, it's the people that it's your network and everything. And after a while, if we don't, we're going to all find that like every other neighbor is going to be speaking in the language of Epic Cash, and we win. And so we are so early on the curve here. That's the beautiful part of this. And because all of us on this call have had the benefit of spending time with Max Freeman, recognizing and distilling and understanding that this dude is a literal genius and that he has no ego in this. That is what's so crazy to me. It's like he is the first one to say he just so wants to be in the background. He doesn't want any sunshine on him. He wants, it's like he's a hermit. He doesn't want it. His future world is when this takes off and it becomes great. He wants to walk down the street and nobody know who he is. And I love that about him. He has no ego in this. And so I have grown to trust him, trust this project. And then everybody who comes along, damn it, I just wish I was living right next door to them. That's what's so cool about this. There's going to be a day, I believe there's going to be a day when we have our first Epic Cash conference, likely in Miami, where a lot of us who are here are going to get involved. And I cannot wait for the big group hug where we don't wear masks and and we sing Kumbaya without fear of catching a boogie virus. I probably just said too much, and I'll probably get this.
Yeah, I would just add that the beauty of Epic Cash is that it's designed so that everyone that chooses to use it is going to benefit. Right. And the more people that realize it, the more beneficial it is going to be to everyone. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Let me give you the reassurance of all the Red Pill expos that I've been to. There've been about 7 of them. I think I've been to about 5 of them. Nobody was wearing any masks, and
yeah,
and I think in Florida that would be even more possible. So when we make our choice, as a group, we do what we want, and we outnumber those who would do otherwise.
Hey, I have a question. Of course. I have a question for you, just because this is a real, you are living the dream as far as I'm concerned. You ended up getting 20 acres and are living somewhat off grid. But can you just share, this is just for me, sorry, everyone, if you want to leave, fine. But I fantasize about that. How awesome is it to be able to just have like 20 acres to where it's yours? And how much of a burden is it to upkeep? Give me the pros and cons.
My father bought raw land. He bought 60 acres and 3 20-acre parcels. He had 4 children, and when he died, we figured out how to divide that up equitably. And my brother and my nephew have 40 acres, and I have 20 acres. And I don't need or use it all. It's wilderness. It was undeveloped land. So what I did was I just developed the part that I live on. And I can tell you, if you are really committed or you have to have a big lawn and a swimming pool and a bunch of manicured trees, you're going to spend a lot of time and money maintaining that. And I don't need that. So I have natural wilderness around me. It's high desert, so it's chaparral. It's very lush, but it's desert type plants. The trees are not real big. There are some tall trees, cottonwoods and various trees, but most of the trees are what we call red shank or manzanita, these sort of 12-foot high type of plants. The red shank's very green, very pretty, So I don't set up any kind of landscaping or any kind of project. I don't even have pets, because at the moment I want to be able to travel. I travel here and there. I have reasons to travel from time to time. and I don't have to worry about who's going to look after the animals or whatever. Now, at some point, if you're off grid, you're going to want to have animals, especially with the coming economic issues
Right.
and the coming currency collapse and food shortages, and it's going to be a different world, and we're all going to have to become very productive and resourceful individually and as communities. But in the meantime, I've been able to, I have off-grid solar, so it's batteries and solar panels and inverters and that whole system. And I have small tank propane. That's plenty for me. I burn firewood for house heating, and I have internet up there. There are various ways to get internet, and so the internet is really the only kind of on the grid thing I have, and that's kind of an advantage because we have my family in that area. We have ways of sharing the internet, so it's somewhat anonymized by that. When you have multiple parties on the internet, it anonymizes the usage, and so it's a good situation. I went up there luckily it's an unincorporated part of the county where there's very little direct oversight over building. Now there are technically building codes and this and that, but I could not afford that when I went in there. If I tried to build a home, the county is very, very poorly. They what's the word? If you need a permit for something, it can take them up to 2 years to give you the permit. My brother decided to put in a permitted house, and they just arbitrarily decided he needed an engineering study that's going to cost him $10,000. And so they do stuff like that, as if money just grows on trees, as if anybody here spend $10,000 for us because we want to do this. And obviously the county's getting kickbacks. It's a big racket. And so it's a very corrupt county, and I saw that coming, and I avoided all that. And then they came back after the fact and saw that I had structures on my property that they didn't know about, and they dinged me a little bit on my property tax. But so far, it's been well worth it to not get into relationships with this particular county. They're very corrupt. They're very greedy. They're very slow to act, and it's. So if you can just stay away from government, stay away from people that are going to rob you and disrupt you and obstruct you.
I'm going to insert here everywhere I can, hashtag where are the white hats? I'm just going to let that resonate with people because that's what we need. And I think the Epic Cash community that we can participate in being white hats. And by that, I mean positive community, supporting of each other, adopt a different form of currency, get out from underneath the boot of the Druid Babylonian bastards who are destroying this world. I'm not even going to say country, this world. You may think I'm crazy when I say that, but I'm not. If you're awake at all. But
Yeah.
man, Jerry, this has been a true pleasure. I think did I just lose you guys?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, wow. This is wow. Hold on. I lost my whole, oh, there I am. I lost the whole system. Sorry. I thought my computer went dead. Jerry, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And
thank you, man.
I hope you'll return, and I am going to reach out to you. I'm going to give you Captain Pie's article. I'm going to give you my contact information. I want to walk you through this weekend. And Captain Pie, you're a rock star, and I can't wait for you to go to work this weekend. Yeah. And your deliverable is to come out the other side with something that is accessible, a one-pager. I know that's hard. It can be a one-pager PDF that's on both sides, by the way. It's just, I want to be able to attach something that I could send to a doctor, a physician buddy of mine who I know has $100,000 to invest in crypto, but he doesn't have an idea. And he just kind of wants an easy button to understand. So if we can do that, I think we have a huge runway, because I love Max. I love him to death, but holy cow, nobody can make your eyes gloss over like he can when he really gets in his zone. And so it is our job to distill, help him.
Actually, I was just going to say that Jerry, he has a really great way of expressing stuff in spoken words. So I think he will be a real asset. So if we can get him, which I'd love to help do, understand the project, and then he can speak about it in his way, I think that would be a massive
Max
asset.
approached me. Max approached me, I think, for the same reason maybe you are, which is, if we can get a couple of Jerry Day videos on this, everybody has the same feeling that I may not be the most technically deep guy in the world, but my videos are accessible and comprehensible. So if I can understand it, and if I can get it in an accessible and comprehensible form, I'd be more than delighted to do that. And I think Max had that same feeling, is that he wanted me to, advocate or spread the word in a way that was accessible to people. I think he saw that in my videos. And so I'm ready and very eager to do that. And certainly will probably find myself doing it as soon as I really do have enough understanding of the whole topic.
Wow, that's amazing. So so if you read my article, do you have Telegram, Jerry? Do you have Telegram?
I do, but I have to sometimes get an email to remind me to check my Telegram. I don't always have it on. Okay. I do have an account there. I think it's Jerry Day, so I've communicated with Max on Telegram. So awesome. Yeah, I'm sure it's Jerry Day, JERRYDAY.
So Uncle V, if you give him my Telegram details and my article, he can read it and then contact me, and we can try and work together to get
what I'll do is I'll create a new group with both of you, and so it'll be the three of us, to where we can just kind of work this out. And then Jerry, seriously, it's just like, I'll include in there a link to be able to download the Vite wallet and go through the process. And I'd love to work you through it. And again, it would be my greatest pleasure to show you how fast these transactions are, and send you 100 Epic Cash, which I believe one day each one of those are going to be worth $1,000, and I'm not even kidding. And I think that's just beginning. Look at
that's great. I very much appreciate that, and I've had Max on the back burner for some 6 months now, because I sort of haven't been able to get my head around it. I tried a couple of times on the Vite wallet, and so you're gonna. I'm encouraged that you're gonna push me over the top, and that is something I'm very grateful for and looking forward to.
Great. Yeah, look, I'm the first one to raise my hand. Have to dumb things down so that I'll understand it. But I've been at this for almost a year now, to where I'm starting to understand it, and I can certainly help you and help anyone else that's watching. If anybody needs help, to the community, I'm speaking to you in the chat, anyone out there, here's the places you should go. t.me/epic cash. And if you want any kind of help desk type support, t.me/epic cash help desk. Sorry, Epic Cash help desk. Now, my lounge is t.me Uncle Vigilante Lounge. We have a lot of cool people in there. We talk a lot about a lot of different subjects. And then I would highly recommend anyone watching, please, probably priority number one, if you want to get educated in cryptocurrency, in Epic Cash, please sign up for t.me/FreemanU. That's FREEMANU. And you will get a PhD in no time in cryptocurrency if all you do is spend 10 minutes a day, morning and evening, we all we all have our biological functions, but just go get your PhD. It doesn't take that long. If you go to Freeman U and you just read through there, it is so awesome. You learn so much about crypto and Epic Cash. It's awesome. So, all right, man, this is amazing. This is going to go down as one of my favorite episodes ever. So thank you, Jerry. I really am grateful for your presence. And Captain Pie, you are a legend in my mind and everybody else's. And Sea Porc, safe travels. Sorry that you had to leave early, but we understand. He's going down to Miami, early flight to meet with Max all day tomorrow to talk about the future. That's the cool thing about this frickin' community, man. Smart people are all coming together, and not just like smart people, but I'm talking about my daughter Alex is 25 years old. Where would I have thought that I'm 57? Where would I have thought that I'd have common ground with my daughter at this stage in my life, to where she is like leaned in like crazy, wanting to evangelize Epic Cash to the art community on Twitter and bring them on over to start transacting in Epic Cash. That is the network effect, people. And I love it. I love it. Love all you. And so, all right, I'm gonna stop with that. But thank you, Jerry. We're gonna chat over the weekend. We're gonna get you set up, Captain Pie, and go teach those kids.
All right.
They're awesome.
Very good. Thank you so much. I will leave now. Thank you. Appreciate it. It was a terrific conversation, and I'm very excited about that. So looking forward to it.
All right, Jerry. Thank you.